All right. So we've got the YouTube going, it looks like. And obviously TikTok running. So yeah, should be off. Hey, Mikey. Um, Good to have you here. Um, yeah, we'll see what kinds of conversations we can have tonight. Um, yeah, the what I'm looking for is folks who are 18 plus and have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. My contention is that there is no such justification, but there is justification to think that no gods exist. So we'll see if anybody wants to actually have the conversation. Um, and hey, maybe tonight will finally be the night somebody converts me, right? But, we'll see. So yeah, if you are someone who thinks that you have, an argument or evidence that would justify belief in a God, feel free to come up as long as you're an adult and you actually believe in the God that you're justifying. This is going to sound crazy, but actually my parents created me. Interesting, I know. High convictions? How old are you?
I'm 37.
Fair enough. I still feel old because I'm older than you, but at least you're not, freshly 18.
You're not older than me, dude.
Yeah,
No way.
I'm 40.
No way.
Yeah. I'm so fat that I got the baby face. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, what do you got tattooed on your arm? You just on your hand too.
Which one? This
Let
one?
me see your tattoo. Yeah, that one. Let me see.
We got Batman turning into an owl.
Dope.
There's like a pyramid there, and then I got a Daruma doll on my hand. I've got the fucking.
Oh, what's that? What's your hand tattoo?
It's a Daruma doll.
Explain that. What is that?
So it's a Japanese thing. It's like you go to the temple and you buy a doll, and the different colors mean different things, and then you like make a goal and you paint in the right eye when you make your goal, and then if you complete your goal, you paint in the left eye, and then at the end of the year, you bring it back to the temple, you burn it, and you get a new one for the next year.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and so like purple is like like personal growth, things like that. So that was kind of what.
Okay.
And also purple's my favorite color, so I got a purple one.
Hey, it's mine too.
Nice.
Nice.
Very.
So are you're into like tattoo wise, like what kind of, like, is that like your kind of style? Is that?
No, I got that because a buddy of mine is a tattoo artist, and I was getting a bunch of tattoos from him. I got stuff from him on my legs, and he was doing my sleeve over here and like whatever. And so we talked about a bunch of ideas, and he came up with the Daruma doll, and he tattooed it on me. But that is not the purpose of this live. What we're doing here is having you're good. We're having conversations about whether or not there's rational justification to believe in God. My contention is that no such rational justification exists. That's why I don't believe in a God, and I also think that there are good arguments for why we should take the positive position that no gods exist, which is why I've said God is fiction, right? Because something that doesn't exist in reality but does exist in stories, that's the definition of fiction, and I say that definition applies to God. So, as I said, I'm looking for folks who have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in God. Is that something that you have?
Yeah, kind of. Do you believe Jesus existed? Are you like, because I've had conversations with atheists where they're like, Jesus was a myth, he's made up, he never existed. Or are you like, yeah, no, there's a historical figure named Jesus, obviously, that existed?
I don't take a position on it. I'm not convinced that he did exist, but I'm also not convinced that he did not exist. I just don't feel like, I feel like there's evidence for both, and I haven't seen sufficient evidence, or I haven't, maybe the way I should put it is, I haven't researched it seriously enough to feel confident in forming a strong conclusion either way. But the reason that I haven't looked into it more is because I don't think it actually matters whether Jesus existed.
Oh, I think it does, because either then he was the greatest con man and a psychopath, or he really was the son of God.
No, he could also have just been honestly mistaken. There are lots of people who believe that they are divine in some way. There are lots of people who believe that they are the fulfillment of some prophecy or other. That's a very common thing. And the time period and location where Jesus supposedly existed was a time and place where a lot of people believed that the world was about to end. And so people who were Jewish were looking to the Jewish prophecies of end times, and lots of people were going around saying that they were going to fulfill end times prophecies, or at least that they could point to end times prophecies being fulfilled. And so it's not surprising to me, if Jesus really did exist, that that it wouldn't be surprising to me that there was a guy going around preaching end times stuff and building a following based on it, because like I said, it was a thing that people believed at the time.
When did Jesus preach end time? When did he ever preach? Like,
that was his. What are you talking about? That was his whole thing. His whole thing was that the world is about to end. Some of you who are listening to me talk will still be alive when I come back with, from heaven on the clouds with the angels and bring the end of times. That was his message. That was literally his. What's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word, but that was the message that he was trying to give out. That was his whole purpose. Like, if we believe that the character in the Bible is real.
Oh, I believe he's real, and I believe there was a man named Jesus Christ. I'm a former atheist, by the way.
Well,
there was a man.
What I'd be interested in then is what is the argument or the evidence that convinced you that a God does exist? Because you have to believe that a God exists in order to think that, like, for example, a hobby of mine is magic, right? Like, I'm really into card magic. I literally have.
Me too, dude. That's weird you say that.
Decks of cards sitting here because I like to.
After our conversation, will you show me a trick?
Oh, oof. I don't know about that.
Okay, no worries. No worries. No pressure. No worries.
I mean, I probably could, but we'll see. We'll see how, if you hate me by then. But
I won't.
But anyway, what I was saying is that there are lots of experiences where something happens that people don't know what it is, and then they attribute it to something supernatural. But if the supernatural doesn't exist, then we shouldn't consider the supernatural a candidate explanation for those unexplained circumstances or unexplained phenomena. So you would have to demonstrate that the supernatural exists. So, for example, with somebody supposedly coming back from the dead, well, we could find all kinds of stories from thousands of years ago that purport that people came back from the dead. But if no supernatural, I fucking love the Elvis thing. Anyway, if there is no such thing as a supernatural thing that could bring people back from the dead, then it's a lot more likely that there are, imposters pretending to be the resurrection of somebody that had a following, or people who had like grief hallucinations thinking that they had a real experience with a resurrected person, or somebody just lying and saying, hey, I had an experience with this resurrected person, and then convincing other people of it and then getting some benefit from that. Like, there's tons of it's also more likely, if we don't have a reason to think that anything supernatural exists, then it would be more likely that aliens came down and pretended to be a resurrected person than someone actually having a supernatural cause of their resurrection, because at least
super cool, wouldn't it?
It would be. But what I'm saying is, as unlikely as it would be, because I don't think aliens have ever actually visited Earth, I don't think we actually have any evidence for that. So even though we don't have evidence for that, I still think that would be more likely, because it's a naturalistic explanation, and we know that naturalistic things exist. So what I'm saying is that if we want to say that there's like some supernatural explanation for some aspect of Jesus, you would have to first demonstrate that something supernatural exists, and that supernatural thing has the capacity to produce the effect that you're trying to explain.
Okay, so you asked me the question. I was an atheist. Like, what happened to bring me to Christianity? And I'll tell you this: I did have a experience, and that's not going to convince you, and that's not what really convinced me. Is I had Jesus appeared to me as an atheist, and it scared me. It made me, like, it didn't like overnight make me a Christian, but I couldn't explain it.
Well,
so I did go to like churches. I was raised Catholic. I left the Catholic Church when I was younger, and then I had this experience as an atheist where Jesus appeared to me. I didn't know what to do. I tried to go to like.
How did you confirm that it was Jesus?
What's that?
How did you confirm that it was Jesus? Because lots of people have personal experiences, like where they have experiences with the Hindu gods or the Norse gods or all kinds of other supernatural entities, that most of which I assume that you don't believe in. So if it's the case that people have the same exact kind of evidence for positions that you don't believe in, then you must have some way of differentiating their position or their experience or their interpretation of their experience from yours. And so that's what I would be interested in. I don't really no offense, but I don't really care about your experience. What I would care about is the tool that you used that allowed you to determine that your interpretation of your experience is correct.
Yeah, yeah. And I was trying to, maybe I didn't explain that, or maybe I, but so I had that experience. It was Jesus nailed to the cross, and he looked at me. I could smell his blood in my vision, which was weird. I could see him.
Yeah, I don't want to hear about
the.
the vision. Please don't tell me any more about the vision. That's irrelevant. What I'm asking is, how did you determine
Okay.
that your interpretation of the vision was correct?
Um. Well, I mean, I don't know if it correct. What do you mean by correct? That it actually was Jesus?
Right, that it wasn't just some other kind of hallucination, that it wasn't a dream, that it wasn't
Yeah.
something else, that it wasn't an alien beaming
Mhm.
mind beams into your head to make you think that you were seeing Jesus. Like, how did you rule out every naturalistic explanation? Because remember what I said, if you haven't demonstrated first that something supernatural exists, then you can't appeal to something supernatural as the explanation for an experience. So you would have to have already confirmed that, there is a God and that Jesus is that God before you would be justified in appealing to that as the explanation for your experience. So that's what I'm asking for. How did you first determine that God exists and can create those kinds of experiences so that you would be justified in thinking that was the explanation for your experience?
Yeah. And I'm sorry. I apologize. So having that experience, dude, it wasn't like, oh, that's Jesus. I'm a Christian now. Like that was on 100. Like I doubted it.
Yeah, I
I
don't want to hear what you
100%
didn't do.
doubted
I'm
it.
asking what you did do. How did you
Okay.
confirm that
So
God
then
exists so that God could be a candidate explanation for your experience?
so I started going to churches. And I didn't feel anything. I didn't learn anything. I went to Protestant churches. It wasn't until I went to the Catholic Mass, and it was when the Eucharist, when the priest consecrated the Eucharist, I had another experience, and which made me look into the history of
Yeah,
the
this
church
isn't
and
answering my question.
I'm getting there.
No, I
Sorry.
don't want you to get there. I want you to be there. I don't want to hear anything else other than the answer to my question, please.
Okay. Eucharistic miracles is what brought me
Nope.
to that God is real.
Again, you would have to have confirmed that God exists and has the capacity to perform Eucharistic miracles in before you could possibly be justified in attributing the cause of those miracles to God. So what
Okay.
you
Who,
have to
who
do
else can?
first, so what you have to do first is say, this is how I demonstrated that God exists. Then you have to say, this is how I got from the demonstration that God exists to the demonstration that God is the explanation for this experience.
Yeah, only God could turn bread into heart
That
tissue.
assumes that
There's
God
no
exists. How did you confirm that God exists? Because if God exists, then no, God can't do that.
because God does exist.
Yeah, how did you confirm that? That's my question. I've been asking that this whole time, and you haven't even tried to answer that question yet.
I know. Yeah, I mean, I can say with historical documents, with the Bible, with
Yeah, that's just like vaguely
to
gesturing at stuff. I want specifics. What is the specific
I, I
thing?
I mean,
What
I
is the
can't tell you
specific evidence? Or
specifics.
okay,
I
then you
can't tell you
don't have
specifics if well no the
justification to believe in God.
I can't. Let me finish. I can't say specifics when you interrupt me every 3 seconds.
Okay, but I'm interrupting you because you're off topic.
I'm
What I
not. I'm
want
trying
here's
to
here's the
explain
thing.
to you.
Convictions. Here's the
Like this
problem.
is
No,
come on,
here's
man.
the
Be
issue.
charitable. Be
No,
charitable.
no.
Have an intellectual
No,
conversation.
because I've asked you the same question over and over and over again, and
And I'm
every
trying
time
to
you start to
explain it,
stop.
but as soon as I start talking, you
Yep.
interrupt me
And I'm
like
trying
I'm
to
trying to get
explain
to the
why I'm
point, and
interrupting
then
you.
I let you talk
Yep,
for
I'm
two
trying to
minutes,
explain why I'm
and then I
interrupting
try
you
to
so that we
talk,
can
and then you
stop.
interrupt me.
Okay,
So if you want to have a charitable, intellectual
okay.
conversation,
So I'm trying to have that charitable intellectual conversation, but what I need is for you to stay on topic.
well,
So what I'm
yeah,
trying to
okay.
explain to you, what I'm trying to explain to you right now is why you keep getting interrupted
How do you
and
like
how
being
to
interrupted?
what I'm trying to explain to you is why you keep getting interrupted and how not to get interrupted again. Can I please explain to you how to not get
No, you
interrupted
can't
again?
because you
Okay,
keep
fair
like
enough. So
just
you don't actually want to have the conversation. So I'm happy to let people talk and not interrupt. I don't have a problem letting people talk without any interruptions. They just have to actually engage with the conversation. If I'm asking a question and your response has nothing to do with the question, then I'm going to interrupt you and I'm going to bring you back, right? That's what's going to happen every time. If you don't want to actually have your feet held to the fire, if you don't want to actually have the conversation and engage, then then there's no point in talking to you. Um, couldn't. engage. That's correct. Heavy convictions. If you don't speak about about the topic, then no, I'm not going to let you ramble on about, I'm not going to let you gibberate about a bunch of other stuff. So if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, please make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. You have to request if you want to come up. Hi, TikToker. How old are you?
22.
Okay. Do you believe in a God?
Yeah.
All right. Which one?
Jesus. I have video proof.
How did you confirm that it's Jesus on the video?
He said so.
Oh, so what you're saying is that no one could ever say I'm Jesus and it not be true? Hold on. Well, I want to test something out.
He had his government ID that said Jesus.
Oh, okay, sure, fair enough. You know what?
Could I show the video?
All right. So if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, please make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Hi, Real. How old are you?
Yeah, what's going on? I'm 19.
Okay. Do you believe in a God?
Yeah.
Cool. And which one do you believe in?
Queen America.
What?
Queen America.
I don't know what that is. Is that a real God or are you just trolling?
No, yeah, she's a real god. She's the head of the Golden Order.
What's the Golden Order?
We worship the Erd Tree and think it's the greater will type stuff.
I don't know what any of these things are.
We just think that the greater will is
I don't know what that means.
The correct way that
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. You're just saying phrases that have no meaning.
Okay, well, I've literally seen Queen America in person, right? So I don't know how you could tell me that she's fictional, because I've seen her give speeches to the armies and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Which armies?
The armies of the Golden Order.
Mm-hmm. And where was this?
The First Church of America.
Which is located where?
It's near the Crucible.
What's the address?
The address. Well, yeah. I mean, I could.
How would I GPS it?
There wasn't GPS back then. You know what I mean? Type stuff.
Fair enough. Poe's law, folks. You can never really tell who's a troll and who's not. All right. So if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, please make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Oh, was that Elden Ring? See, this is the thing. I don't know anything about video games. So if that was Elden Ring stuff, I have no idea. I don't know shit about video games. I used to play Tony Hawk. So all right, we'll bring up the next person. Hey, Aiden, how old are you?
I'm 19.
Do you believe in a God?
Yes, sir. I believe in Jesus.
Cool. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
I believe it heavily revolves around faith, but I was going to ask you, how can you prove that it's not real?
Well, I wouldn't use the word prove. I think that proof is kind of a thing that probably really only exists in math. Where you logically provide a proof for something that's 100% certain within a specific mathematical framework. So I'm just talking about arguments or evidence. So I'd be, happy to discuss.
Fiction?
I'm sorry?
So how can you say he's fiction if you don't have proof?
Yeah, I was just about to explain that. So there's a difference between having evidence for a position and having proof for a position. Proof entails 100% confidence. I don't think we can be 100% confident about, really much of anything. So what I'm saying is that I think that there is sufficient justification to take the position that God does not exist. And I'd be happy to discuss that, but I'm just trying to be careful about my language and not use the word proof when that wouldn't be warranted. right? Like I'm not claiming that I can provide 100% confident or like 100% certain proof that God doesn't exist. I'm saying that I can provide, demonstration, evidence, and arguments, those kinds of things. Hopefully you
let me
understand the
rephrase
difference.
it. So how can you make a statement if you don't have anything to back it up?
Okay, so you're just not listening to anything that I'm saying?
But you don't have any statements of anything that's true. You can't prove he's real or fake. So why are you making a statement?
So you're saying that you can prove that God is real?
No one can prove he's real or fake. I'm asking
Okay.
you, why are you making a statement?
Do you understand the
if you
difference
can't
between
prove it's
having
real or fake?
evidence for something and proving it?
Why are you making a statement if you can't prove it's real or fake or have any facts?
So do you understand the difference between having evidence for something and proving it?
But you're making a statement with
Okay,
nothing.
so you don't want to actually engage and have a conversation?
You're bald.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, I did shave my head today, so fair enough. I mean, that's true. Simulation theory has been entirely debunked. Yeah, simulation theory has been debunked. There isn't, like, it's not possible for a universe like ours to contain something that could simulate a universe like ours. The tag argument is ass. It's just question begging. Yeah, so if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, please make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Yeah, Brian, I also hope we have some decent conversations tonight. Ira, are you at least 18?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, are you at least 18?
Yeah, man, I'm 38. What's up with you?
Okay, do you believe in a God?
Yeah, I do. And I had a quick question because you said
which God
that
do you believe in?
I believe in Jesus.
Okay,
God.
fair enough. What's your question?
So you were asking, because I think the argument should be changed for you. You were asking about, can you prove God?
Well, I was only talking about proof because that person was talking about proof. I don't ask people for proof.
Okay, simple enough. I apologize. What I'm saying is, because scientists, like through math and all that, there is scientists who said that, and again, you can look this up. I don't have it off the top of my head, but there's scientists already who have said just by the way everything is aligned mathematically, you know, the moon positioning and the tide, all that.
Are you just trying to talk about fine tuning?
No, you were saying math because you were saying you were talking about. You're saying to show that God isn't fiction. That's
no. I think that you just misunderstood what that last conversation was about. I'm saying that all I'm looking for in either direction is arguments and evidence. I'm not looking for proof that God does exist, and I'm not looking for proof that God doesn't exist. I'm just looking for arguments or evidence that would move the likelihood of either being true. So if there's an argument or evidence that increases the likelihood of God existing, that's what I want to hear about. If there are arguments or evidence that decrease the likelihood of God existing, well, I would be interested in that too. So it sounds like maybe you're saying that you do have an argument that you think increases the likelihood of God existing. I don't think that it can prove God, but I think that, you know, maybe you can give me some evidence and I'd be happy to discuss it. So am I understanding correctly that you're trying to say that fine tuning is evidence for God?
No, I'm not saying fine tuning is evidence for God. I was just giving you one example.
The example you were giving was fine tuning.
Example was that they're scientists.
Yeah, the example you gave was fine tuning. Yep, you were giving the example of fine tuning.
Okay, if you want to use that, that's fine.
That is just the term for what you were saying. So are you trying to say that what you were talking about, that fine tuning, provides evidence to believe that God exists?
I'm saying that's one. Yeah, that's evidence. Yeah, that's one point of evidence.
Okay,
that's one point.
I disagree, and so there are two ways that we could move forward. There's like some feedback or echo or something. I don't know if you can do anything about that. I mean, I guess that works. So there's two ways that we can move forward. So either, if you'd like, you can present whatever you think is the best version of this argument, and then we can discuss why I don't think it works, or I can present you an argument for why I don't think that fine tuning should be considered evidence.
I hear you. I'm gonna let you talk to someone else then, because I feel like I gave you an example, which you're calling fine tuning, which is fine. That was just me trying to give an example. I don't have the scientists' names in front of me and all that. I was just saying, that's one point. There's people who are educated who use math to show that mathematically something had to. It wasn't just everything just happened by coincidence.
Well,
Something
that's not what that. It doesn't
position.
mathematically show that. It's just an attempt to use assumptions about the world to generate evidence for a proposition. But what I'm saying is, I think that endeavor fails. I don't think that the things you're pointing to can actually provide evidence for God. And I understand that you're saying, like, you don't have, the best version of this evidence. That's fine. I'm offering to present you the argument for why I think that this fails. I mean, if you just want to leave, you're welcome to do so. I'm not going to twist your arm and make you stay. But I'm just saying that if you would rather discuss this without you having the burden of proof, or the burden of evidence, I'd be happy to take that on and provide an argument for why I think that fine-tuning fails.
All right. Can I try a different argument with you then?
Oh, I mean, if you want to do that, that's fine.
Do you believe that people who do evil in this world and hurt other people, do you think those are humans? Do you think that those people think similar to me and you, where, one day Jake just crashed out so bad that they just had to do something horrific that I don't think you or me could do?
I think people who do bad things are just people who do bad things. Like, I don't know why I would think that there's any inherent difference between someone who does bad things and someone who doesn't do bad things. Like, I've done things that I wish I hadn't in my life. I've told lies that I wish I hadn't told. I've hurt people. I hurt someone very important to me today. Wasn't really what I was trying to do, but unfortunately it did happen. So like those kinds of things happen, and like, I don't know. I think that, I don't know. I know. So my answer, I guess I'm sorry. I don't mean to ramble. My direct answer to your question is yes, I think that they're human beings like you and I. And no, I don't think that there's anything else involved other than they just made decisions to do bad things.
Okay. Okay. So do you think when we make mistakes and we do bad things and all that, do you think that that's all entire? Like, do you think like sometimes your actions is all you? You think it's 100% you that's always done those evil things or those bad things that you said earlier? Or do you think that maybe at the time you could have another presence or something inherent maybe in this world that could have affected you or made you do that bad thing?
It sounds like you're talking about something like demons or some other kind of supernatural force, and I don't believe in anything like that. So if you're presenting it as either, do you think it's a naturalistic explanation or a supernatural explanation, I'm going to always pick the natural one because I have no reason to think that anything supernatural exists.
Okay. Now I was just saying, because earlier you said that you would say that they just do bad things. That those people just, and and I guess it does go to the supernatural point because I don't see how humans could do that to kids or people or any of these bad things willingly or with a conscience. So that's why I'm saying like
I think that there are people that are able to turn their conscience off.
What do you think the conscience is?
I don't know, just like your it probably comes from, things like instinctual, moral related or ethically related beliefs, or a lot of it is just going to be like what you were taught as a kid growing up. So that's why when I was younger, I was very interested in like true crime, serial killers, things like that. And something that you find out when you research that kind of stuff is that there are very consistent predictive things that you can look for that determine whether a kid is going to grow up to be a serial killer, right? Because they've done all these interviews and research into people who became serial killers to find out what their childhood was like and, what their upbringing was like, what kinds of things that they did before they started becoming, being serial killers. And it's very consistent, right? You can see specific factors. And basically what it boils down to is certain predispositions in them that make them less likely to feel bad when they do something wrong, combined with the environment that they grew up in, not giving them the tools that they need to have healthy outlets for their emotions or their desires or whatever. And then they turn into, people who do horrific things. And the thing is, like, the people who do horrific things, they don't start with the most horrific thing that they've ever done most of the time. Typically what they do is they start with something small that they think that they can justify to themselves. And then once they've done that and they don't really feel all that bad about it, then they can go a little bit worse and still not feel that bad about it. And then that doesn't seem even as bad as it did originally. So then they can go further. And then it's just the same thing with drugs, right? Like if you are, or any kind of addiction, right? Like alcohol. The first time somebody gets drunk, it probably doesn't take that much alcohol. But if you're drinking every single day, all day long, it's going to get to a point. I have a buddy who, when he went into the hospital because he had to go to the emergency room because he was having problems. Well, unfortunately, he was an alcoholic, and the doctor told him, like, you have so much alcohol in your system. I've literally never seen anyone alive with this high of a blood alcohol content. But the thing is, the guy had been an alcoholic for so long that his body was just used to processing it. And then when he went through, detox to get clean, it was an insanely painful experience for him because his body had so gotten used to it. In the same way that an addict, an alcoholic's body can get used to taking in that amount of alcohol, where it probably would have killed me immediately to drink like he was drinking that night. Someone who has been progressively doing worse and worse things is going to be able to do something horrific like abuse a child or murder somebody, and it's not going to impact them or their conscience or whatever you want to call it, because they've desensitized themselves to it.
Okay.
I don't think there's any need to appeal to anything supernatural.
So you've never, and I don't like going that route because especially like it's TikTok, clout, all that. But you personally have never had any experience, either your own thoughts or something supernatural, or even watching someone suffer, maybe someone you lost or all that. You never had any kind of spiritual experience in your life, or something that you would clarify was weird or something like that in your life?
I have never had an experience that I would now classify as spiritual, because I don't think that spiritual things exist, and therefore, like, what the better way to say that is, I wouldn't classify any experience I've ever had as supernatural because there isn't justification to ascribe any of those experiences to anything supernatural. If I have an experience that I'm not sure what the explanation is, then all I can say is I don't know what the explanation is. To try to then jump to a supernatural explanation, that's completely unwarranted. You would actually have to have evidence that the supernatural thing exists and that it has the capacity to cause the kind of experience that you've had. But neither of those two things have ever been demonstrated to be true. So no one could ever possibly be justified in appealing to a supernatural explanation for anything.
Okay.
It's just a fallacious reasoning. It's saying, I don't know the explanation for this, therefore I'm just going to insert the explanation that I want.
Okay. So what about, so do you think the people who do have these things, like, do you believe in coincidences? Like, do you think that, do you believe it, or do you believe more in mental health issues, and you think people are just having mental health issues? Or do you think, like, am I explaining the question correctly?
I'm confused by the use of the word coincidence, and based because of what you went into after that, and I don't see the connection.
Oh, because coincidence as something, you know what a coincidence is, like happening more than once or whatever, right? But then what I was saying is, like, so many people have claimed, like I think you had a guy earlier saying he saw Jesus. All these people have claimed these things and to have had spiritual, including me. I've had things like that, but I'm not going into that. But people have explained things like that. And would you say that, like, why so many stories of that? Why so much of that from so many? Like, are all these people who have mental illness, or are all these people having a coincidence? Is it just something?
No.
Like, how would you describe that?
I don't think it's either. I think it's just a neurological thing that we have. I think that we have some wiring in our brain, wiring, I'm using analogically, but I think that there is some, feature of our neurology that predisposes us to those kinds of feelings. My guess would be that we evolved with that because it made us, when we had those type of experiences, went back, when we were a tribal species, when we had those kinds of experiences as part of, tribal rituals and practices, it would bring the tribe closer together. It would create more harmony, and you know, the tribes that had that had a higher likelihood of producing viable offspring to continue the species, to continue that population living, right? So I think that it is something that, so here's the thing. I completely acknowledge that people all over the world, billions of people, have experiences that they attribute to something supernatural. My issue is that the explanations, the interpretations that people give for those experiences contradict each other, even though there's no more evidence for one conclusion over any other. So my opinion is that we should be studying these experiences and trying to nail down exactly what they are and where they come from, as opposed to just saying, well, somebody had an experience they weren't sure how to explain, therefore a God exists. Because I think that jump from I can't explain it to therefore God is completely unwarranted.
But it's therefore, but it's something, right? It's something's going on.
Yeah,
right?
there's something in our brains going on. It's not. There's no reason to think it's anything supernatural.
Everything we've learned though, like everything humans learn is from each other, right? We don't go out and do these experiments ourselves. I mean, some people do. Some people go out and they'll actually do certain experiments themselves.
Yeah.
But it's all on faith that whatever that person did is true.
No,
right?
It's not on faith.
Well, it's on we believe them, right? Well, okay.
Yeah, but not based on faith.
We didn't do the experiment ourselves, but they still did the experiment for us, right?
I agree with you that there, like, that testimony is involved in that process, but I don't think that it's the same thing as faith. Having faith means that you believe something without evidence. Having trust in a process means that you have evidence that process is reliable, and as soon as new evidence is presented that the process is unreliable, then you would stop trusting that process. There's a huge difference between trust and faith.
Right. But so then wouldn't that put you more in the I don't know if there is a God or if there isn't a God, rather than God is just fiction?
No.
Because then that's still leaning onto, that's still leaning onto, educated people and educated theories and certain realities. That's still leaning onto, okay, well, this makes more sense to me than that does. That's okay, sorry.
Oh, I thought you were done. I wasn't trying to stop you or interrupt you. You've been polite, so I'm not.
No, I wasn't trying to start nothing. Neither am I, man. I actually enjoyed the conversation. So I'm just saying, like, because it's like we're still having to get our knowledge from somewhere, right? And we're going, and it sounds like you go more on the physical aspect of things, or the realistic aspect of this is more, this is a wall, or this is like, not for lack of better terms, but it seems like you're still leaning more on one side than rather staying in the middle of it, because it's like you can't really, neither one of us can prove whether there is or there isn't, but we live on a spinning ball in the middle of nothing, and we still have people who can't decide whether it's flat or round. So like nothing is really certain, right? So to say God is completely fiction, I think that's kind of going against what we do as humans best, which is, gather evidence to even try to see what's true.
So here's what I think the issue is right now, Ra. So far, what we've been doing is discussing the evidence, or the types of evidence, or the arguments that you're familiar with and that you've been kind of running through. And for each of those things, my response is, yeah, none of those things justify any position. So I think that it's true that if those were the only things that we had, then we would say no position is justified and we should just all be agnostic, right? However, that isn't the only evidence that's out there, right? Like I'm saying, like fine-tuning doesn't provide evidence to believe in God from my perspective. The cosmological arguments that, everything has to have a cause and the universe began so it had a cause, whatever, that doesn't provide evidence for God from my perspective. Like all these arguments, the moral arguments and the contingency arguments, I don't think any of them actually succeed in providing evidence for God. And if that's all there was just these arguments for God that fail, then I would agree, yeah, we don't have reason to take a position. But what I'm saying is that I do think that there are other reasons that I'd be happy to get into why we should think that there are no gods. And then, shit, there was one other thing that you said that I wanted to address, and I just completely lost it. Oh, I remember what it was. You're saying that I'm like looking only at like science or physical evidence or whatever, but I assure you that that's not the case, because I'm much more interested in philosophical arguments than scientific arguments. I think that whether or not God exists is a philosophical question, not really a scientific question. So I think that philosophical arguments are a much better and more reasonable place to turn than scientific arguments or scientific evidence.
Okay.
Like if we're going to give if we're going to give the theists the best chance of demonstrating that God exists, I think we have to go with philosophical arguments. If we went with scientific arguments, no one would ever prove God, as far as I'm concerned. No one would ever even give evidence for God, as far as I'm concerned. So we need the philosophical arguments. Now, sometimes philosophical arguments are going to lean on scientific information, scientific evidence, that kind of thing. But I do think that it's going to take a philosophical argument to get to God existing. And I think that there are really good philosophical arguments that give us reason to believe that God can't exist. So, I mean, I'd be happy to present an argument if you want me to, or if there's some other thing that you want to.
Yeah, I was going to ask, that was going to be my next question. So, like, what is it that made you come to the conclusion that you believe, not that you wholeheartedly believe it, but that you believe more that God doesn't exist?
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to do that. And one way that I would do it is, you know what? Let me not give the exact same argument that I give all the time. Let me see if I can give something different. Okay. Do you agree? Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I just want to preface this so that we're both on the same page and understand how I'm trying to move forward. What I'd like to do is present an argument, but it's just going to be like point by point. So I'm just going to present each point, ask you whether or not you agree. If you do agree, I'll just move on to the next thing. If you don't agree, then we can discuss why, and I'll tell you why I think you should agree. Is that fair?
That's fair.
Cool. So my first point is that if God exists, then he caused the universe to come into existence. Is that fair? Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you agree that if God caused the universe to come into existence, then God caused space and time to come into existence?
Yes.
Okay. And do you think that it's fair to say that if God caused space and time to come into existence, then he must be outside space and time?
I'm not going to say that he has to be.
Well, my issue
I'm
is
not
that
sure if he wants to be, I'll say that.
Well, my issue is going to be that if God exists inside space and time, then he depends on space and time for his existence and wouldn't be able to create it, right? Like I can't create the container that contains me, right? Like if my existence necessarily is inside of a container, then I wouldn't have been able to create the container that I need in order for myself to exist. Like it would be like saying that I brought my mom into existence before she gave birth to me. Like obviously my mom had to exist first in order for it to even be possible for her to get pregnant and give birth to me. So if we were saying that I had created my mom, then you know that something is wrong.
See, you say that, and I understand what you're. I know that. I understand what you're trying to say, but at the same time, I hear this like that's like me saying, 10,000 years ago we would never have a phone, like trying to describe a cell phone or a computer.
Nope.
Or trying to describe, because it's impossible for us to imagine or fathom that we can create something or do something like that. So you're saying you're putting. But I feel like that's a limitation, though. I feel like you're putting a limitation on something just because we don't know how it can be done doesn't mean it can't be done.
I'm not saying we don't know how this can be done, therefore it can't be done. I'm saying it's literally impossible for this to happen, therefore it can't be done. It's logically impossible. Like it's a contradiction to say that God existed independent of the thing that he relies on for his existence.
But do you see how that sounds to me? That still doesn't make sense to me. Like, do you understand where I can see that?
No.
Because again, you're using logic. But if it's God, like just because he created something and was able to, just because we don't know how he did it or how he could do it, doesn't mean it can't be done. And you're saying no, it can't, because
No,
we
that's
see
not.
that it's
No,
impossible to do.
that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that if God did create space and time, then he can't be inside space and time. That's all I'm saying.
To our logic.
No, just not our logic, logic in general. Are you saying that God can violate logic?
I don't know what he's got, right?
It's a yes or no question. Can God violate logic?
Come on, man! Don't do me like that. We're having
this is an important thing that we need to nail down. This is very important for us to nail down here, because if you're saying that God is illogical, then what's going to follow from that is that it's literally not even possible for you to believe in God. Because the problem is, here's what I'll lay out. If God is illogical, or like if the laws of logic don't apply to God, then that means that the law of identity, which is one of the laws of logic, doesn't apply to God. If the law of identity doesn't apply to God, then it's not possible to have a thought about God, because God doesn't have an identity that you could have a thought about. If trying to have a thought about a God that doesn't have, that the law of identity doesn't apply to, would mean that your thought wouldn't have any content, because you wouldn't know what you are thinking about or what you're not thinking about. So if logic doesn't apply to God, then the law of identity doesn't apply to God. If the law of identity doesn't apply to God, you can't have a thought about God. If you can't have a thought about God, then you can't have a belief in God. So if the laws of logic don't apply to God, you cannot believe in God. It's literally not possible for you to do. So if it is possible for you to have coherent thoughts about God, then you're committed to the position that the laws of logic do apply to God. So it is important for us to nail down whether you think logic applies to God, because if you say no, then you're also saying that you can't possibly believe in it.
You're saying it's illogical. I'm saying that if he's God and he created everything, that means he can. If I made a computer and I built everything in it, I can go inside the computer and put the stuff in it.
This isn't responding to what I said.
It is. You just don't like the response.
No, the reason I don't like the response is because it's not responding to what I said. If you were responding to what I said, even if I didn't like the response, I would let you give it and I wouldn't interrupt you. The problem is that you're not responding to what I said. My issue is that if the laws of logic don't apply to God, it is not possible for you to believe in God. So either the laws of logic don't apply to God, or you believe in God. Only one of those can be true at the same time. Both of those can't be true at the same time.
You're making it a logic thing where I'm saying God is illogical. I'm not saying that. I'm saying he's God.
Okay,
and
no,
we don't even understand what God is.
Raw, I have to nail you down on this. I need you to give me a direct answer whether or not the laws of logic apply to God.
Okay, to fit in to move the conversation, I believe in God.
Okay, so if you believe in God, then the laws of logic apply to God. So the laws of logic apply to God, right?
Again, I don't understand. I just like, honestly, truthfully.
All right,
I'll
put this up on the screen here. So what we're going to say is, if the laws of logic do not apply to God, then
can God be inside logic, outside of it?
Does not apply to God. If the law of identity does not apply to God, it is not possible to have a thought about God. If it is not possible to have a thought about God, then it is not possible to believe in God.
But you're putting us in the same
category as God. To believe
if you don't want to
in God, then
listen, man, it was a great conversation.
Does not believe in God. And Raw does believe in God. So the only rational conclusion is the laws of logic apply to God. So you need to reject one of these premises if you want to continue saying the laws of logic don't apply to God.
I never said the laws of logic didn't apply to him. I said he created them, right?
So if the laws of logic do apply to God, then we can reasonably conclude that God couldn't be that if God caused space and time to come into existence, then he must be outside space and time. The only way to get out of this is to deny that the laws of logic apply to God. If you're saying that they do,
you're
then
saying
this must
God
be
is
true.
illogical. You're saying that the whole idea of God to you is illogical, correct? The whole idea of God, period, to you is illogical.
So what I'm doing right now is what's called an internal critique. So what I'm saying is, if your opinion or if your belief was true, then a contradiction follows from it. And I'm showing that when you try to get out of the contradiction that follows from your position, other contradictions follow. So all I've been doing so far is showing you the contradictions that are entailed by the positions that you have affirmed.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Christians believe in Jesus, right? Was Jesus in time and logic, all that applied to him, correct?
So this is, I'm not going to take the bait. I want you to stay on topic here. Do you agree?
You think I'm just trying to have a conversation, bro. You think we're having like a full on trying to show for the people. I'm just talking to you, man.
All I'm trying to do is have a linear conversation with you, Ra. That's all I'm trying to do.
So what I'm saying, and I'm asking you a question, so Christians believe in Jesus, right? And he was in time, but then God is also outside of time, right? So that right there, that whole statement of Christianity is illogical, right? Which goes on faith that, we believe in a God that he controls everything, right? Because Jesus existed in time. Jesus lived in our life, in all this reality, right? But when you ask a Christian, they say God is outside of time, correct?
So are you just saying that there's a different contradiction that you believe in too? Because that doesn't really help anything here, Ra.
No, I'm saying that if he is God and he created look, you want to go on to a different argument? Because maybe this one is just, we're going to be at a standstill.
You had asked me to give an argument for why I don't think that there can be a God, and now you're refusing to engage with the argument so that we can get there.
No, I'm engaging, but you want me to engage in your way.
I want you to directly engage with what I'm saying.
But my answer is not illogical.
Yes, you are committing yourself to logical impossibilities, and I'm showing that. And I understand that that's uncomfortable, but that's the conversation that we're having right now.
The whole basis of this argument is that it doesn't exist. So therefore God isn't. Your whole argument is that is
okay. So you're not willing to engage with the argument?
Man, again, let's engage. Let's go ahead.
Okay, fantastic. So my third premise that we stalled.
Okay, so I believe in God.
Yep. So my third premise
he has to live in logic.
So my third premise that we stalled out on was that if God caused space and time to come into existence, then he must be outside space and time.
Yes.
Okay. And if God is outside space and time, but all causes are inside space and time, then God did not cause the universe to come into existence. Does that make sense?
Say it one more time for me, man. Say it so I can hear it for you.
If God is outside space and time, and all causes are inside space and time, then that would mean God did not cause the universe to come into existence.
Isn't that kind of a different way of what we were just arguing about, though? Isn't that?
No.
I'm just asking. Maybe I'm having a breakdown because
no, I can see
that doesn't make sense. That feels like the same. That feels like the same argument stated in a different way.
Nope. I can see why you draw a connection. I can see why you draw a connection, but it's not the same.
Explain to me the connection you see that I see.
Yeah, so because what we're talking about is whether God is outside space and time, and like obviously the overarching purpose of this argument is to show that God doesn't exist or he didn't cause space and time, whatever. So I understand that there's a connection between, the previous conversation about whether God must be outside space and time if he caused the universe, and then now this point that I'm making about him not being able to be a cause because he's outside the universe. I see the connection between those because we're still just talking about what it means for God to be outside space and time. But this is a different point that I'm making here, that if there are two things, then I'm saying that if both of these things are true, then a third thing is true, and that third thing is that God didn't cause the universe to come into existence. So I'm saying if these first two things are true, God is outside space and time, and all causes are inside space and time, then it must be that the third thing, that God can't be a cause, must also be true.
But you are going off that. So you believe in cause and effect. You believe that something had to cause everything to go in existence, correct?
No.
You don't believe in cause and effect?
I don't believe that something had to cause everything to come into existence.
So you think everything just existed. Like it just happened, and we just here.
I mean, that's a completely different conversation. I'm trying to lock in on this specific argument here.
Go ahead.
So I'm trying to lock in on this specific argument here. So what I'm saying, I'm just asking if you agree with the concept that if those first two things are true, God being outside space and time and causes being inside space and time, that would mean that a third thing is true, which is that God can't be a cause. Do you agree that that third thing follows from the first two?
I mean, no, but there's no way I can really defend that argument. There's no way, like, again, it's going off of, it's God. Like, it's hard to, that's an argument that's hard to fight because it's really going to put us at a standstill in the sense that if you don't believe that he could do that, then he can't do that because you're using logic of humans, right? You're using all what we believe and all that. But if it's God and he's creator, then he can do that. You understand what I'm saying? Like it's basically points of views. It's like you have that point of view, and it's just that's a standstill argument. There's nothing because it's not your point of view isn't going to change. You're going to say it's illogical. There's no way that if he's outside of space and time that he created us, and there's no way for that argument when he already technically showed us he did. If you want to go with the Bible aspect of it.
Yeah, you're just not engaging with what I'm saying. Can you see what's on the screen here? Do you understand this statement here that if all A's are B and C is not B, then A isn't a C? Or C isn't A?
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're wanting me to say to you to
it's
say.
It's not about what I'm wanting you to say. All I want right now, Raw, is for you to actually engage honestly. That's the only thing that I want.
And I swear, bro, I am. I'm going off how I feel. This is how I feel.
But you're not engaging with what I'm saying. You're trying to find excuses to run away from the argument that I'm giving you. So all I'm asking you to engage with is I'm only asking you to engage with this point, and everything you're talking about doesn't engage with this point. So the only thing I'm asking is, if these first two things are true, that God is outside space and time and all causes are inside space and time, would it also be true that God did not cause the universe to come into existence?
Maybe I'm confused by that because I don't understand how, because if he's outside of time, he can't cause the universe to come into existence. I don't get that. I don't understand.
Right. Because you see this second part here, all causes are inside space and time. So if it was true that God is outside space and time, and if it's also true that causes must be inside space and time, then that would mean God couldn't cause anything, right? If those two things were true?
I don't really like that stat. I just don't like that. I don't like any of that statement.
So what you're saying, what you're saying is that this argument is too scary. You know that it's going to demonstrate God doesn't exist.
No.
And so you're too afraid to engage with it. So
no,
we're not at a Raw. Well, the only reason we're at a standstill is the only reason we're at a standstill,
bro. You're
Raw.
getting loud with me, bro.
The only reason.
Loud with me. Why?
Okay,
why are you getting loud?
You need to calm down. So the only reason that we're at a standstill right now is because you're refusing to be honest. That's the only problem in this conversation right now, is your refusal to engage honestly.
I am engaging honestly. You don't want to
No, you're
hear
not.
my honest
I'm
opinion.
asking you the question that I'm asking you, Raw. Raw, the question. Do you understand the question that I'm asking you? What's the question that I'm asking you?
I mean, you want to go ahead, say it again if you want to keep saying it, man. Like again, you're not hearing me, and it's okay.
No, I am hearing you, Raw, and because I'm hearing you, because I'm hearing you, because I'm hearing you, I'm able to tell that you're not engaging with the argument. You're not engaging with the points I'm making.
You're trying to make a logical argument about God when you yourself, like, you're trying to make something that makes sense. That's you're going off human sense. That's not even your argument. You probably found that, bro. Like I'm saying, like you're trying to put God in a box.
This is my argument.
Why is God in the box? Are we in a universe?
This is my argument.
Are we on a planet right now? Like I'm
this
just
is my
saying,
argument.
But you're trying. I hear you, and it's nothing against you. I'm just saying I don't like that argument. It's a crazy.
Yeah,
argument.
I know you don't like the argument because it's going to show that God doesn't exist. That's what I'm saying. And if Raw, stop.
And that's not true.
I haven't had to mute you yet. Am I going to have to mute you in order to have this conversation? So, What I'm asking
You
you.
called me dishonest. That's all I'm saying.
What?
You called me dishonest. Not once have I ever called you anything on this live. You called me scared and dishonest. Like, bro,
Yeah.
As a human being, can you at least respect me?
I would respect
me. That's all I'm asking.
I was giving you respect while you were acting respectably, and as soon as you started acting like an asshole, I started treating you accordingly. Now that you're being dishonest, I'm going to treat you like someone who is being dishonest. And I'm also going to call out that you're being dishonest. Now, if you're saying that you can engage honestly, I would love for you to demonstrate that you have the capacity to do that by engaging with the question that I'm asking you. If I ask you the question again, will you engage with it honestly and not run away to something else?
I wasn't running away. I gave you my
That was a yes or no question, Raw. If I ask the question again, will you engage with it honestly? Yes or no?
You want to be disrespectful, you have a blessed night, man. I was having an honest conversation. If you don't like the answer, you don't like the answer.
It's not about not liking the answer. It's about I don't like the fact that you're being dishonest, and I'm not going to let you get away with it.
You keep calling me dishonest, bro.
Okay, then show me, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong and engage honestly.
You don't even know me and you're talking to me crazy, bro.
Because you're being dishonest. If you're being dishonest, then obviously I know that we were having a conversation. If you're being dishonest, then obviously I know that you're being dishonest, and I have the capacity to call out that you're being dishonest. So now the question that I'm asking you, since you're claiming that you are willing to engage honestly, if I ask the question one more time, will you engage with it honestly?
I have been, and I'm gonna no because it's a stand.
Okay, fair enough. Since you're agreeing that you're not going to be able to engage honestly, then it is time to move on. Yeah, I mean, I think that that's a solid argument. And clearly he did too, or he wouldn't have been running away from it so hard. The question was premise 4 of an argument that he asked me to give and then refused to engage with. So if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, please make sure that you are 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in God. Before I bring up the next person, I just want to say thank you so much, everybody, for the support, the likes, the shares. I sincerely appreciate that. Thank you, 3 Pips Lobes, Alan, Slice, Lem, Biscotel. Thank you very much, everybody, for the support. I do sincerely appreciate it. Okay. Oh, thanks, Atheist Cat. Yeah, if you guys are able to tap the screen, share that kind of stuff, that helps keep us in the algorithm. Make sure that we get people requesting up so we can have good conversations. Yeah, no, I'm not important. I'm fucking nobody, man. I'm certainly not claiming to be important. Thank you, Evan, for the meerkat. That's fucking awesome. Cool as hell. And thank you, Radio Spencer, and both sides. I really appreciate everybody. Thank you. So yeah, we'll bring up the next person in the queue. Joe, how old are you?
Hey, I am 60 years old.
Okay. Do you believe in a God?
Yes, I do. And I also want to start out by every single one of your questions that you're asking is 1,000% validated and in my book.
Okay, that's fine. I'm sorry.
Interesting.
What God do you believe in?
I believe in one God, one creator.
Yeah, which one?
Of the whole earth.
Yeah, which God?
And I pray to the God who made me.
Okay. So, Joe, if this is that difficult of a question that you can't actually give a direct...
Okay,
I need you to stop. I'm asking you a direct, unambiguous question. I need a direct, unambiguous answer. So I'm going to ask one more time. If you aren't able to provide a direct, unambiguous answer, I'm simply going to move on. What God do you believe in? Please unmute yourself and answer the question.
I refer to him as the God who made me ever since I was a little boy.
Okay. Hey, fair enough. If you're not willing to answer the question, that's totally fine. I told you what would happen if you couldn't answer, and you chose not to answer. So totally fine. Yeah, obviously is the Christian God. But, I mean, if he can't even be honest enough to say what God he believes in, yeah, then there's no reason to have a conversation. Hey, maybe he is a non-religious theist. Then he could just say that, right? So if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, please make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Little pro tip for the folks in the chat: the more that you cry in the chat about wanting to come up, the longer I'm going to wait to bring you up. So, like for example, that idiot who keeps begging is next in the queue, but I'm definitely not bringing you up because all you're doing is crying and begging in the queue. So I will bring up somebody else. Yeah. Assuming that they can even connect. Jeez. Bueller? Nothing? Fair enough. Hi, Captain America. How old are you?
Hello?
Hi. How old are you?
I'm 18.
Okay. And do you believe in a God?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Which one?
Like the Christian God.
Cool.
The
And
Catholicism God.
What would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in God?
So what I would say is that we're just starting off with the Bible. There's over, I don't know the exact number, but I think it's definitely over like 100, but there's a ton of prophets that all come out with predictions that seem to have all happened in history, and nothing in the Bible has ever been proven wrong.
Well, neither of those things give me any reason to believe in God. So what I'm asking for is reason to believe in God.
Well, the Bible is God's true word.
I mean, that's the claim. Why should I believe that that's true? Why should I believe that a God exists in order, for the Bible to be associated with that God?
Because no humans across a 1,000 period of time that they've never met, without something guiding them, can all put together a perfect book with no contradictions and no lies.
Well, there are tons of contradictions and there are tons of lies. And even if that wasn't the case, yes, people could absolutely do that. It's really easy to do. I don't know if you've ever read comic books, but comic books have hundreds and hundreds of different people working on the stories, and they're able to keep them as tight as they want to, right? Like, think about how many different people have written Spider-Man, right? I mean, there's lots and lots of different stories that all connect to each other and all have a consistent timeline. So I don't see any reason why we should think that it would be any different with, writing 1,000 years ago or 2,000 years ago or whatever. I don't see any reason to think that there's a God to be involved. And again, in order to say that there was a God involved in that, you would have to demonstrate first that the God existed and that the God had the capacity to do that. Because until you demonstrate that a God exists, any non-God explanation is always going to be more likely. So the most outlandish, insane non-God explanation is always going to be more likely than the God explanation until you demonstrate that we should believe that a God exists. So in order for this Bible stuff to matter, you have to first demonstrate that God exists in order for me to think God could have been involved with it. So what's the demonstration that God exists?
Well, what I think that God exists is, well, based off your argument with the last guy, which also I feel like, I don't know if this will help you believe that he exists, but everything in space and time and the universe is all contingent. It's all relying on something else. Mm-hmm. It all relies on something else. So that means that there has to be one thing that has created it all.
No. You're jumping too quickly in that argument. What you're trying to say is that, basically you're trying to say every contingent thing needs an explanation. The, big conjunction of all contingent things can't explain itself. So then there must be a necessary thing that explains all the big conjunction of contingent things. And that's fine. But the problem is that that's just, well, and we don't have to get there, but that's the argument that you're trying to give. Am I right?
Okay, but why don't you believe that there's something that...
Well, I'm just trying to clarify, is that the argument that you're trying to give?
It is.
Okay, fantastic. So my issue is going to be, it's going to come with like, what's the what is the thing that caused, like, I don't know the right way to ask this. Do you know what I mean when I say proximate cause?
No.
Okay. So like if there are like 10 dominoes lined up and I push over the first one,
Yeah.
me pushing over the first one is like one of the causes for the 10th one falling over, but the proximate cause for the 10th one falling over is the 9th one hitting it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what I mean by proximate cause. Does that make sense?
So like the cause before.
Yeah, like the thing immediately before it. So what is the proximate cause of the universe coming into existence in your view?
God. The one creator.
Okay, so what you're saying is there's nothing between God and the universe coming into existence, right?
What? Can you repeat that?
You're saying that there's nothing between, like there's no extra step from God, some other thing, then the universe. It's just God, then the universe, right?
No. It's just what I'm saying is God. Yeah, I am saying that.
Okay, yeah. So God directly created the universe without an intermediary.
Yes.
Okay. And you're saying that God is the necessary thing that your contingency argument is pointing to, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So my issue, let's see if we can do this. Let's imagine that there is some cause, we'll call it C, and C always produces an effect, and we'll call that E. So we're imagining some C that always produces E. Are you with me? I can't hear you if you're off the app. Come back, Captain America.
What do you mean?
What do I mean about what?
Can you repeat that? You were cutting out.
Okay. So, okay, when you're off the app, I think you're probably going to struggle. Can you come back to the app so we can have the conversation?
Oh yeah, one of my friends was in the chat. I was texting him.
Okay, so do you want to talk to the chat or do you want to talk to me?
No, I want to talk to you.
Okay, so please stop doing that. Fair?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So, what I'm asking you is if you'll follow me, I'm stipulating, let's imagine that there's some cause that we're going to call C, and that cause always produces an effect that we're calling E. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So now, would you agree that any state of existence where C exists, since we know that C always produces E, then E must also exist in that state of existence?
E must exist from what? The thing in front of it?
Well, if you're just texting, then you're not going to be able to hear the questions that I'm asking you, and we're not going to be able to have the conversation. So do you want to text or do you want to have the conversation?
All right, I'll have the conversation.
Okay. So what I'm asking you is, if we're imagining some C, some cause C that always produces some effect E, then if C exists in some state of existence, E must also exist in that state of existence, right?
No.
Okay, why not?
Because God is the best thing to ever live.
That's okay. So you don't want to actually engage?
No, I do.
Okay, so then answer my question.
All right. So what you're saying is that something, like without using the letters, like something is like made from something else. Like it's like a tree is made from a seedling that was planted.
Let's imagine there's some seed that anytime that seed exists, it necessarily produces a specific tree. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then we could say that any state of existence where that seed exists, we know that that tree will also exist, right? It will produce the tree because that's what we've said about it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so then if we're saying that any state of existence where the seed exists, it necessarily produces the tree, then we would say that if the seed exists in all states of existence, then that tree is produced in all states of existence, right?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So if God is necessary, which then that means that he exists in all states of existence, and if God is the proximate cause of the universe, then that means that God always produces the universe because he can't be different since he's necessary. So that means that every state of existence where God exists, he produces the universe. If God's necessary, he exists in all states of existence. So the universe is produced in all states of existence. If the universe is produced in all states of existence, then it's not contingent, and you believe in a necessary universe.
So you're saying that God will lead the 2011 boys ECNL to win the Nationals at Louisville City?
Okay. I was hoping that we were having an actual conversation, but apparently not. All right. Hey, look at that. Thanks, Poop Man Jones. Rocking out. Just want to play guitar now. I don't even like playing guitar. All right. Relic, I have already told you, the more you beg in the chat, the longer it's going to take for you to get brought up. Just FYI. Okay, so if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, please make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Oh, you got so lucky, because if I would have seen you begging in the chat before I brought you up, I wouldn't have brought you up.
That was my first chat. My fault, bro. So,
how old are you?
I'm 20 years old.
Okay, and what God do you believe in?
I actually don't believe in a God, but I just wanted to I wanted to ask about.
Okay, well, I'm just doing theism debates. Okay.
Yeah, it was a previous. I wanted to answer.
Okay. So if you're in the guest queue, make sure that you're 18 plus, that you believe in a God, and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in that God. It's not always men that come up, but it is fairly rare that women come up and talk. I'm certainly not filtering them out or preventing them. Yeah, I'm not here to reiterate previous arguments, Jay. If you want to be mad at me, that's totally fine. I'm just here to actually have the conversation. Okay. All right, yeah, so if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, please make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. So after all that begging to come up, Relic isn't going to come up? Bueller. Relic spent like 20 minutes 20 minutes begging to come up, and now he won't connect. Who's muted? Nobody's muted. What are you talking about muted? What's muted? Who's muted? What the fuck are you talking about? Relic isn't muted. He's not connecting. I don't know what you're talking about. He never connected on my side. It just showed, like, if you guys go look at my YouTube right now, it's showing exactly what I see on my TikTok, and he was just spinning. Never connected. Okay, now you connected. How old are you?
Bro, you blocked me, bro. What are you talking about?
I don't know what you're talking about. How old are you?
You know exactly what I'm talking about. You blocked me, bro.
Okay, do you want to have a conversation or not?
I couldn't even text. No. Hey, don't start that shit, bro. You're not going to bully me.
Okay, fair enough. You're right. I won't bully you. All right, so if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, please make sure that you're 18 plus. Oh, you're talking about him being muted in the chat? Oh, I didn't do that. That would be the mods. If you guys are talking about him being muted in chat, that's the mods. And then as soon as he came up, he didn't want to actually have the conversation. So, what's the point? I don't know why you would beg to come up and then refuse to have the conversation, but whatever. Just so you guys know, it's not Duck Duck Goose, it's Duck Duck Grey Duck. Just FYI. Oh, well, he wasn't up on my side. Like I said, you guys are more than welcome to go look at my YouTube. I'm streaming this to YouTube right now, and it shows over there exactly what I see on my side. and he never connected that first time. And then when he connected the second time, he didn't want to have the conversation. I'm obviously not going to bring you back up, Relic. You don't want to have the conversation. Why would I do that? I'm only here to have conversations about whether or not there's justification to believe in a God. What do you mean I blocked you? I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. If you like had some other if you had a different account where you were being an asshole and I blocked you because of it, then, you know, whatever. I don't regret it. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, clearly that Relic idiot only wants to whine. So if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, please make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. My YouTube is just the same as this. It's Ogar Debates. The link is in my TikTok bio. Actually, speaking of links, it's not super active, but I have started a Discord. It's actually pinned in the comments over on the YouTube stream, and I'll drop it in the comments here just in case anybody wants to join. The goal there is to build community and to, you know, grow and learn together. I'm very interested in, you know, learning and obviously debating. That's why I'm doing this. But yeah. So I'll move on to the next person in the guest queue. Okay. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, please make sure that you are 18 plus, that you believe in a God, and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in that God. Hi, how old are you?
Hi, I'm 33 years old.
Okay. How do you prefer your name to be pronounced?
George, please.
Fair enough. And do you believe in a God, George?
I believe in a higher power. Yes, I do.
Okay, like a mind.
That doesn't necessarily mean it's got to be physical, but I do believe in a higher power.
Yeah, I think that all meaningful definitions of God are non-physical. I can't imagine.
Right.
God
there's no way there can be so much power harnessed into one physical body.
Sure.
That would be insane.
Okay, sure. So do you believe in like a God that has like a name or religion or a book associated with it, or no?
I mean, when I refer to a different person, I call them by their name. I do not know the God that everyone thinks there is. I do not know his name.
It's just a yes or no question, George. Do you believe in a God that is associated with a religion?
Associated with a religion?
Like, do you believe in the Jewish God or the Muslim God or the Christian God or some like Norse God or like a Native American God? Or do you believe in like just like a generic theistic God that just like is the creator of the universe but doesn't have those other entailments? Or what do you believe in?
What you just said.
I said a bunch of different things.
No, well, I do not believe in a God that can physically come out here. That seems a little bit too far-fetched for me.
I need you to stop telling me what you don't believe and just very clearly and succinctly in one sentence, just tell me what you do believe about God.
What I do believe about God is...
Yeah, what is the God that you believe in?
He is here for us. I do not know what I believe the God. To be honest, that is my that is my reply. I do not know.
Okay, if you can't take a position, then we can't have a conversation here. So, do you believe in... Okay, that's fine. You can run away as well. That's totally fair. All right, so if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, please make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification for your God belief. See if anybody wants to actually have the conversation. Hi, GC. How old are you?
46.
Hey, finally somebody that doesn't make me feel ancient. All right. Do you believe in a God?
Yes. The Christian one.
Perfect. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
You know, I was thinking about this. I listened to some of your other ones. I think that the prophecy is maybe the best way to do evidence. Like if I can tell you something that's going to happen in the future, you know, would that count as like evidence that God exists to you, or would you come up with a natural explanation?
No, I would say that the most reasonable response would be to either say I don't know, or if there is some reason to like show some causal connection between something and that, then you could, like, if there's evidence showing a causal connection to something, then you could reasonably say that that thing is the cause. But at this point, the only way that we could have evidence that something supernatural caused a prediction to be made or to come true, the only way that we could say something supernatural was involved in that is if we already have reason to believe that something supernatural exists. For example, if I'm looking at a phenomena, some prophecy coming true or some apparent miracle or something like that, and I'm trying to determine what are the candidate explanations, what are the things that possibly could explain this thing that I'm trying to explain, the only things that get to go on that list are things that we've confirmed have the capacity to cause that kind of thing. If we haven't confirmed that a God exists, and we haven't confirmed that a God has the capacity to give prophecies and make them come true, then we have no justification to add God to the list of potential explanations for the supposed prophecy. So in order for prophecy to be evidence, you have to first show that God exists, then you have to show that God has the capacity to cause prophecies to be made and to come true. So why should I think that God exists in the first place before we can get to prophecy?
If something, you know, you get told something that like a human wouldn't know, like, isn't that evidence that something, you know, beyond what humans could know, that's evidence that God or something greater than us?
No, it's just unexplained.
Do you think there's any sort of miracle or event or anything that you think that you would ever explain or account to God, or would you always say that no, there must be some other explanation, no matter what you see?
No, I would say the only things that we should ever consider candidate explanations are things that we know exist and know can potentially cause the thing that we're trying to explain. Since we don't have a reason to believe that God exists, and obviously if God doesn't exist, he couldn't possibly be the explanation for anything, then we can't put God on any list of candidate explanations for any phenomena that we're trying to explain.
I think you're kind of confusing proof and evidence.
Nope.
Like,
no, I'm not.
Well, I mean, like,
I know the difference between proof and evidence.
Well, okay, but let just for the sake of argument, like, if there's evidence of something, that's, you know, it suggests something. But, you know, if you wait for there to be proof, you know, and you need proof first in order to
that's not what's happening.
Acknowledge any evidence.
Nope, that's not what's happening. You're just straw manning my position.
Is there anything that would count as proof that God exists then?
Proof? Oh, probably
not.
No,
or evidence.
Oh, yeah,
is there
sure.
Anything that would count as evidence?
There could be things that could potentially count as evidence. What are they? I have no idea. But I guarantee that if the God you believe in exists, then that God knows what would be good evidence and could provide it, but hasn't. And so I would say that that's actually good evidence that the God doesn't exist. Because if that God exists, it knows how to give us evidence to believe in it. If it exists and knows how to give us evidence to believe in it, I should say, if it exists, then it knows how to give us evidence and it wants us to believe in it. So it would want to give us that evidence, but it hasn't given us that evidence. So if we know that if it exists, it would give the evidence. It hasn't given the evidence, therefore it doesn't exist.
Okay, I have a suggestion of some evidence, and you can, you know, take what you believe out of it, you know, and okay, there's going to be a nuclear war during the next presidency. Not sure if you're going to cut me off or something, but
yeah, I don't want to hear this. I want the evidence for God. Again, I already told you that making a prediction, even if the prediction comes true, cannot possibly be evidence for God until you've demonstrated that a God exists and has the capacity to cause that prediction to be made and to come true. Until you do that, I have no reason to think that God should be a candidate explanation for that prediction.
I feel like you're
so you need to demonstrate that God exists.
I feel like you're kind of in a chicken or egg thing here. Like, you won't accept God as a candidate for anything, and therefore you won't, you know, look at any evidence because that evidence can't possibly prove God. It's
You
logical.
keep using the word proof. How many times have you heard me use the word proof when I'm making a point?
Well, if nothing can be candidate
How many times
evidence
have I
for
said
God, then
proof when
nothing
I'm
can
making a
prove
point?
God.
How many times have I talked about proving God when I'm making a point?
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put words in your mouth.
So how many times in this conversation have you heard me talk about proving or disproving God?
I don't think you did.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. So why do you keep bringing it up as though I am talking about that? Like, why are we having
I'm
two
sorry
different
if I put words
conversations?
in your mouth. That wasn't my intent. I mean, we
Okay,
can
so
say evidence, but
can we both have the same conversation, please?
It feels like if you're in this situation where you can't accept any evidence as evidence of God, then you'll never get to a situation where you believe in God. And it seems like sort of a logical fallacy that you're like, God can never exist because I won't accept any evidence that God exists.
No, so here's a better way to look at it. So you're trying to talk about evidence. Do you know anything about probability?
I guess, sure.
Okay, well, I'm certainly no expert, so maybe you know more about it than me. I don't know. But here's what I'm going to say. Let's imagine a probability space. You know what I'm talking about when I talk about a probability space?
Okay, yeah. Like one of those charts? One of those things?
Well, sure, whatever. You could say it like that.
Okay.
Like we have like a graph, and we're saying
Yeah.
how probable is this hypothesis and how probable is its negation. Let's imagine that that we have the God exists hypothesis and no God, or we'll say God, not God exists, whatever. God doesn't exist. We have these two things. That's going to fill up 100% of the probability space because it's a claim and it's negation. So that would fill up 100% of the probability space, right?
One of them's right.
Right, but I'm saying that those are the only two possible answers. So
Okay.
if we
if
we add if we add the probability of God and we to the probability of not God, it'll always equal 1, right?
Okay, go on.
Fantastic. So let's imagine that they're at 50-50 right now. I don't think either of us believes that, but let's imagine that God is at 50% and not God is at 50%, right? And what we're trying to do now is say, how can we raise God higher in order to believe in God and then and that which would lower the probability of not God, right?
Okay. Sure. Go on.
Now, inside the not God hypothesis are a whole bunch of naturalistic explanations for things, non-God explanations for things, and all of those potential non-God explanations for the universe or life or the earth or any other phenomena, they're all going to be competing for that 50% that the not God takes of the God or not God probability space, right? They all have to be each individually less than 50% because they in total have to add up to 50%. Similarly, on the God side, every single God conception is competing for that 50%. So every particular God explanation is going to be less than 50% so that all the God concepts together add up to 50%. Does that make sense?
Yeah, okay.
So let's imagine that there were only 4 God concepts, and we could say that each of them had a 12.5% likelihood of being true because those 4 together, 12.5 plus 12.5 plus 12.5 plus 12.5 equals 50%. That takes up the full 50% that the God hypothesis gets of the probability space we're working with.
What would be these concepts? These would be like some proof being right?
No, it would just be the different gods that people have purported to exist, whether it be the Christian God, the Jewish God, the Islamic God, the Hindu gods, the Native American gods, the Norse gods, all different like African tribe gods.
So all the different possible explanations.
All the different possible gods together add up. The probability of each of those adds up to the 50% that we're saying that God overall has in our probability space. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So now, if we have evidence that supports some but not all, or maybe one particular God concept in that amalgamation inside that 50%, that can make that particular God, that evidence can make that particular God concept grow inside that 50% and take up a bigger space, meaning it would reduce the probability of some of the other gods and increase its own probability. But unless that evidence is also expected by the broader hypothesis of just generic some God exists, then it can't raise that probability. So if we're saying that like the probability of a God existing is exactly on the nose 50%, and then you're presenting evidence that you think is is evidence that's predicted by some particular God hypothesis, but isn't predicted by the generic just God exists impliciter hypothesis, then it cannot change the probability of God and not God. It can only change the probability of which God inside the God 50%. Is any of this making sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I understand what you're saying.
Okay. So the evidence that you're giving about this prophecy.
Well, but can I question that last point though? Like, I think that a categorization like that isn't necessarily true. You know, like only one explanation is actually correct. So like,
right, but I'm saying
I don't think that there's any limitation on any of the like possibilities based off of some categorizations percentage.
What? Yeah, the probability. Every probability space, however you slice it up, can never. It always equals 100%. It's always one. Like that's just how probability.
Yeah,
works.
but you understand that it's not really a probability, right?
Well, yeah, we're trying to determine how likely it is that a given claim is true, and if we're saying how likely is it, if what we're trying to discuss right now is whether it's more likely that a God exists or more likely that no gods exist, then we have to say, okay, the total probability space here is 1, and we're trying to determine how much of that 1 is God 0.9 and no God is 0.1, or is it the other way? Are they closer to the middle? Is it somewhere in between? Is it 99 and 1?
I think there's
is it
only
1 and 99?
No, I think there's only one correct answer, and I think
I know that
agree about that.
I know objectively there's a fact of the matter. I'm not talking about whether there's an objective fact of the matter that is 100% true. I'm saying that all we can do without having 100 some information that provides us with 100% confidence, the best we can do is discuss what the likelihood is of something being true, and that's discussing probability. So what I'm trying to say is in order for any evidence to increase the probability that some God exists, it has to be expected by the generic God exists impliciter hypothesis. If it's not expected by that God exists impliciter hypothesis, and it's only predicted or expected under one of the particular gods, then, like I said, all that evidence can do is raise the portion of the God probability space that particular God takes up, but it can never increase the probability of God's impliciter. So what you need to do...
I'm not sure I agree with that.
That's just basic probability. So if you're just saying that you don't understand the fundamentals of probability, that's fine.
Well, I don't think
I'm not
it's a
professor.
probability.
It is probability. Yes, that's how probability works. And if you're saying that you don't want to engage with probability honestly, then there's no way for us to talk about the likelihood of God existing or not.
No, it's not a likelihood. There's one right answer, whether it's God or not.
So you're just not tracking,
right
GC.
Answer.
You're just not tracking. So I don't think that there's a way to continue the conversation, but I appreciate you doing your best. Okay. Refused to engage with probability. Okay. So if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, please make sure that you are 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Hi, Kepler. What God do you believe in?
What's up? The Christian God. Just give me like 3 seconds.
1, 2, 3. No? Didn't work? I was hoping that would work. Well, if you're not here, we can't talk. Do you want me to... I can move on to the next person. You can come back.
I'm back. Thank you for waiting.
Okay. What argument do you want to discuss?
Well, I wanted to talk about your argument, like
Which
within
one?
like relations. Like your argument against.
I can't hear you if you're off the app.
No, I got a notification. Yeah, like your argument within like relations to like, I think it was called like space time, or whatever the argument was.
Oh, you're talking about okay, I mean, do you just want me to present that argument?
Yeah.
Okay. So if God exists, he caused the universe to come into existence, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and if he caused the universe to come into existence, then he caused space and time to come into existence, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, and if he caused space and time to come into existence, then he must be outside space and time, right?
Yeah, presumably, yeah.
Okay, and then if God is outside space and time, and all causes are inside space and time, then God didn't cause the universe to come into existence, right?
Yeah, well, I feel like that's kind of just presupposing one thing, and that would just
It's
be
not.
that, like,
This is a conditional. Do you understand how
Well-
conditionals work?
well, every premise presupposes one thing or another thing.
No,
That's
it's
fine.
not presupposing anything. It's just a conditional. Do you understand what a conditional is?
Well, are you gonna let me like explain?
You're not answering the question. I'm asking you to engage. Do you understand what a conditional is?
Enlighten me, sir.
Okay, so a conditional has an antecedent and a consequent. And the conditional is saying, what's that?
Yep.
So what a conditional is doing is saying, in the case that the antecedent is true, the claim is that the consequent would follow. It's not asking you to accept that the antecedent is true. It's just asking, would the truth of the antecedent guarantee the truth of the consequent? So what I'm saying is, if it happened to be the case that God is outside of time and all causes are inside space and time, would it follow from that God could not be the cause of anything?
Yeah, well, I could just still explain or like argue, like why it'd be the case that like there can still be like relations between these things.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, like space time, and then God being like outside of space time. I can definitely still hold to there being like a relation, right? I could give you an example of this. Like, or it's just be like my argument's just like presupposing that like.
So you're
like,
saying, hold on,
ontological...
Kepler. You're saying that even if it's the case that all causes are outside, or excuse me, you're saying even in a situation where all causes are inside space and time, something that's outside space and time can still be a cause.
No, I'm just trying to posit that there's
okay, but then you're not engaging with the premise here. I'm asking. You need to actually engage with the premise.
Yeah. Well, like presumably you would take causes to have some sort of relation. Yeah.
That doesn't engage with the premise.
Yeah, it does.
Nope. Explain how.
Asking me like a question now.
Yeah, asking me a question doesn't engage with the premise.
Presumably causes have relations, right?
This isn't an engagement with the premise.
Yeah. Literally, it is. Nope. I'm just asking a clarifying question. Is it the case that causes have relations?
Spatiotemporal relations, yes.
Yeah, right. In this, or like within like what you're trying to posit here, just presupposing that like all things that exist or like all things within relations need some sort of like same ontological category. That's just obviously not true, right? Examples of this would be like truth to like concrete things, right? Or like particular things to like universals, right? Example of this would just be like redness would just be instantiated by like an apple.
That's not causal.
Well, these would be two. I'm not referring to causal. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's all. That's what this whole thing is about: is causal relations.
Causes are relations.
Stop, Kepler.
They're not all
Kepler,
relations
stop.
are causes.
Stop. All that matters right now is causal relations. That's it. No other type of relation matters. So if you're talking about some other non-causal relation, then you're not engaging with the argument. So why don't you unmute yourself and now respond only discussing causal relations?
Well, I'm directly going
if you discuss any type of relation other than causal relation, I'm taking it as a concession and I'm dropping you.
Okay, do you want to do talking sticks if that's fine?
I'm going to drop you. I'm going to drop you if you talk about anything other than causal relations. I'm taking it as a concession and I'm dropping you.
Fuck, dude. Yeah, can we do like talking sticks maybe? Because I feel like this isn't working out.
This is your last chance. And next time, the next thing that comes out of your mouth is either something about causal relations or it's a concession. Those are the only two things. So either you're about to.
Yeah.
Okay, so that wasn't about causal relations. It's a concession. I will not deal with the Philbro assholes. That jackass is another Philbro asshole who the only thing he wants to do is obfuscate. Yes, I'm showing my true character that I won't deal with dishonest fucks. Yeah, I like Mega Man. Mega Man's cool as fuck. Mega Man would actually engage with the argument. Yeah. Oh, but if I just cry about something that's completely irrelevant, what I don't like is people who won't actually engage. Oh man. Oh. Okay, so if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, please make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Hi, get it? How old are you?
Hey, how's it going? Is it Ogar or Ogur?
Ogar.
Okay, how's it going, Ogar? I hope you're having a blessed day. I'm just sitting here listening to everything and taking heed in what you're saying. I understand where you're coming from.
Well, how
but
old
at
are
the
you?
same, I'd rather not say my age at the moment. I'm a little bit older than you. Just put it that way.
Okay, what
But,
God do you believe in?
I believe in Jesus Christ, my friend.
Okay, and so the point of this live is to do debates about God's existence. What would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
Well, best evidence for me is, everything that we look at every day. Given the fact that, I was never into religion, my friend, never. I had an incident occur to me, and after that,
I just want to know, like,
I hear you.
How does that, like, you're saying the evidence for God is everything that
Well,
exists
you
around us?
know how you were saying a moment ago how you were boxing in one level, and you were boxing everything in another level at 50-50.
Oh, when I was talking about probability?
Correct. I hate to say it, but a lot of other religions that are out there, they're not the correct religion.
Okay, but I don't care about what you don't believe. I'm asking you when I asked you for, evidence or argument, you said just everything that exists. So now what I'm trying to understand is how does everything that exists get us to God?
Well, didn't you just say a minute ago, if everything is on the inside and he's on the outside, then how can we coexist together, correct? Or something like that nature, correct?
No.
Just a second ago, just a moment ago, my friend, you were just sitting there speaking how the universe was made and everything else, and if there's a God, then how can this be possible? Well, there's a way. I'll give you a way right now, quantum entanglement.
Okay, that doesn't have anything to do with whether there's
Oh,
reason
sure
to
it
believe in
does,
God.
my friend. Sure it does. Sure it does. It's just a lot of people aren't hip to it. You're not onto it yet. If quantum entanglement could mean one thing, you're made of, what you're made of is everything, bro. If quantum entanglement can sit there and be particles be switched into one half, and you could be controlled from billions of light years away, what's there to not to sit there and say there's not a God that controls us every moment of the day?
I'm asking you for the positive case that a God does exist.
That
Can
would
you
be
provide
a
anything like
case.
that?
That'd be a positive case.
Yeah, I haven't heard one yet. Can you provide one?
I just did, my friend.
Okay, clearly I'm not getting it because I didn't hear it.
Okay, well, if God, listen, for one, the devil exists. The devil runs the world.
That's another claim.
Okay.
I don't want more claims. I just want the evidence that God exists.
You're breathing, my friend.
How does that provide evidence that God exists?
How does it prove not?
Okay, so are you actually willing to engage or not?
I just did, my friend. How does it prove not?
I didn't say that it does. That's not a claim that I made. So you're supposed to be providing some kind of argument or evidence. This is the last time I'm asking. If you respond with anything other than arguments or evidence, I'm just going to move on. So what is some argument or piece of evidence that would provide justification to believe in God?
My brother, I love you and you have a blessed night. I see what you're about.
All right, so if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, please make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Yeah, Obelisk, I hate the quantum woo shit too, because everybody who spews it doesn't know shit about quantum physics. Now, I'm certainly not a physicist and would never claim to be educated on physics, but I could tell that nothing that guy was saying had anything to do with, well, anything. He didn't know what he was talking about.
Hello.
Hi, didn't we just speak like yesterday?
Yeah, we did. I was driving.
Oh, so we didn't actually talk?
No, yeah, you had ended up kicking me off.
Okay, what's your name?
You could just call me Jebski.
Call you what? I'm sorry?
Jebski.
Jebski?
Yeah, or just Jeb. Jeb's fine.
Jeb is fine. Okay, fair enough. And
Writing this down, or is it just points you make starting a combo?
I take notes on all my conversations.
Oh, okay. All right.
And what God do you believe in?
Well, by definition, I guess I remember you were saying like something you hold spiritually and emotionally deep to yourself.
No.
Not really.
Okay, so
what would be the definition?
Well, so like a generic, like theistic God would be, like a personal ultimate foundation to reality, or maybe another more colloquial way to say it would be a mind that created and sustains the universe.
Yeah, I would say, I guess the mind that created the universe would be the universe. Does that make sense? So, like, in essence,
well, the universe couldn't create itself, right? That's not possible.
If we're putting it in context that it's a God, then and if God can be whatever, what if it just created itself in order
that's
to
not
be
possible.
Why is not?
Yeah, so something would have to exist in order to create anything. So what you were saying is that the universe existed before it existed. That's a contradiction, so it's not possible for it to be true.
I think of it like this: a God existed, is existent, and by that definition, he's learning. He's like an algorithm, like we're an algorithm.
I'm asking you what you need to explain to me is how it's possible for something to exist before it exists, without it being a contradiction.
How is it possible for something to exist? Could I go off of, beliefs, or would it have to be physical proof?
No, you just need to provide some reason for me to think that something can act in a state of existence where it doesn't exist.
In that type of answer, I wouldn't be able to give you by.
Okay, but that's the answer that you need to give in order for what you're saying to make any sense. Because you're trying to say that the universe created the universe, but that means that the universe took an action when it didn't exist. So you have to demonstrate why I should believe that something can take an action while it doesn't exist.
I guess what you're trying to go off of is by the definition of what a universe is, it had to create that in order for it to.
Are you just like using universe in two different ways in the same sentence? No. Are you saying like this sense of the universe created this sense of the universe, but they're not the same thing?
I'm saying that it was an algorithmic. Is that a word? Algorithmic thing.
Algorithmic is a word, but you're not engaging with what I'm asking you.
You're asking, how did the universe create a universe without prior knowledge of the universe?
No.
Well, what's the question?
I'm asking, how can something that doesn't exist take an action?
How can something that doesn't exist take an action? I think of it like it evolves.
But a thing that doesn't exist can't evolve.
Why not?
Explain to me how a thing that doesn't exist can undergo a process of evolution.
If I'm going off of just beliefs, I think we're destined to be conscious.
And how can a thing that doesn't exist undergo an evolutionary process?
By evolving through time.
Yeah, that's just saying that it undergoes an evolutionary process. That doesn't answer my question. I'm asking you how a thing that doesn't exist can possibly be subjected to an evolutionary process.
I would say it has a single belief in creating, and in that action, it created.
What question do you think you're asking? You're answering?
You're asking how does something that doesn't exist creates?
Nope.
Right?
Nope.
Maybe I'm going off too far. Go ahead, please. And again, I'm not too educated on any of this. I just I'm here to learn. Also, I'm here to by your questions answer my own questions, and also by my questions with your response question what I think. So in my beliefs it's that there was a single conscious that was set to just evolve and through
Right,
that,
but can something undergo a process of evolution while it doesn't exist?
yes,
How?
I think you can.
Explain that.
There's no physical explanation that I could give you apart
Well,
from.
you need to provide an explanation for how a thing that doesn't exist can undergo an evolutionary process.
Well, what if itself is the answer?
That doesn't make any sense. I need you to explain how something that doesn't exist can undergo an evolutionary process.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a point I never struck.
Yeah, what you're suggesting is that prior to existing, the universe underwent some evolutionary process that caused it to create itself. That's not possible.
Why wouldn't it be?
Because it's not possible for something that doesn't exist to take actions or undergo evolution.
What if the action itself is the God? You know, just it.
Right, so the God would have to exist to take the action. So it can't. The action that it takes can't be creating itself because it can only create itself if it doesn't exist. So, but that's again, we're right back to something that doesn't exist taking an action, which again is a contradiction. It's not possible. Only things that exist can take actions.
Right.
Okay, so if only things that exist can take actions, and there was a state of existence where God didn't exist, God wouldn't be able to act to bring himself into existence. Which is why most people who believe in a God would say that the God never came into existence, it just existed eternally without beginning or end.
And I guess that's what I'm trying to say is that.
Okay, but what we were talking about is that if I gave the definition that if there's a God, or like anything that would fit the definition of a God, would have to be the thing that created the universe. If you're saying that God is the universe and it always existed, then that means that the universe was never created, and therefore the universe can't fit the definition of God, because again, the definition of God includes creating the universe.
I don't think he created it, but he is the universe.
Okay, then that's not God. Okay, so I wish that we would have said that from the beginning, because now we're not talking about the same thing, and we've been talking past each other this entire time. I appreciate the conversation, but I'm going to move on. So we'll go ahead and see if we can have a good conversation. Why does God have a gender? Well, God doesn't exist, so God doesn't have a gender. Unfortunately, probably due to the patriarchy, we all associate masculine pronouns with God. But as we all know, the true God is actually Eunice, who is a beautiful female unicorn who farted out the universe. So the true God is female. Oh yeah, Lupine, I would agree with that. It's the whole like Spinoza's God thing. Oh, if I put Eunice up over there, I guess it's if people are in here, you wouldn't be able to see her. But I can put her like over here. And then everybody gets to see Eunice. We'll go. All right. So if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, please make sure that you're 18 plus, and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Give me one quick second. Oh, I can't do that. Okay. All right. I don't know if I just said this. I got distracted. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you are 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. My Fofo, how old are you?
I'm 18. Can you hear me?
I can. Look at how fucking I love
listen here,
animations.
you thin bearded fat bald fuck.
Oh, really? Cool. Thank you very much. That's pretty cool that you hung out here that long just to say that. Oh, fuck. Thank you so much, everybody, for the support. I have met... Oh, I don't know. What was I doing there? I just did a pinky? What the fuck was that? What the fuck was the pinky? Oh, I'm so fucking stupid, you guys. Oh. You guys know that I'm bald by choice, right? Like, I don't know why everybody like mentions the fact that I shave my head as like some kind of insult. I'm bald by choice. Like, I don't know if you guys. I don't know. It's so stupid. Went to a party at the county jail. You damn right I did. Oh, now although thinking about county jail, all I can think of is Johnny Cash. I hear the train a coming. Oh, it's supposed to be emasculating that I'm balding? Couldn't give a fuck less. I just think it's so funny that everybody, like, people focus on that so much. Whatever, who cares? So if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a god. Hi.
Oh, what's up?
Yeah, hi. How do I pronounce your name?
Ahmad.
Oh, I was gonna be right too. I should have just fucking said it. All right.
It's alright. I know you would have gotten it right.
Well, hey, I would. I don't know if that was sarcasm, but I would have gotten it right. I just like, let's be. Okay. Are you at least 18?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. And what god do you believe in?
You said, what god do you believe in?
Yeah.
I believe, Islam.
Oh, cool. And
yeah,
I think I have only talked to Christians and people pretending not to be Christians tonight. So talking to a Muslim is a nice change of pace. What would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a
god? Just because of the fact that everything was created.
Okay, why should we think that everything was created?
Because it was created. It was created by somebody.
Okay, so your argument is circular?
What?
Your argument is circular? You're saying that we should believe that it was created because it was created?
I'm not saying you should believe.
Okay, what's the reason? What's the reason that we should believe that the universe was created?
I don't know.
Okay, so you're saying you don't actually have a reason to believe in God?
Well, I believe he exists because he has created the universe.
Right, so you said the reason to believe in God is because he created the universe. But if you don't actually have a reason to believe that he created the universe, then that means that you don't actually have a reason to believe in God. So do you have a reason to believe that God created the universe or that the universe was created at all?
I don't know what to say.
Well, I mean, you could just be honest and say no and acknowledge that your belief in God is irrational and commit to trying to eradicate that irrational belief from your worldview. That would be one path you could take. That's what I would do if I was you.
All right. You have a good day.
All right, you have a good one as well. Maybe if you think about a different argument, come back, okay? Or not, that's fine. Oh, I don't know about that. I know that there are definitely Muslims who've come up here and given solid arguments. Okay. All right. So if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus. Make sure that you believe in God and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Yeah, I don't have any problem with Ahmad. Ahmad was fine. Probably one of the best guests I've had tonight, if not the best. Hi, Steven. How old are you?
I'm over 18.
Okay. Do you believe in a God?
Yes, I do.
Cool. Which one?
The God of the Bible.
Is that the Christian Bible?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Cool. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would give us rational justification to believe in that God?
Well, there's plenty to me, but you can start with the creation one, and you can just look around and just see the vast things going on, like just with the science of everything and how far, like the universe is and the galaxies and all that kind of stuff. It's pretty amazing.
I look around with all the science and the universe and how complex everything is. And when I look at it, I see that there couldn't possibly be a God. So it sounds like we're at a bit of an impasse when it comes to just looking around at things. So is there anything else so that we can try to resolve this impasse?
Yeah, well, how is the fact that like if we're this close to the sun, we would burn up, or if we moved away a little bit, we would freeze. But if we're in a perfect spot in this big galaxy, it's like, how does that happen?
Well, I mean, that's just not true, right? So
that ain't true?
Nope.
That's what the scientists say.
No, name one scientist who says that.
I mean, I don't know all the scientists' names.
Well, you're saying that a bunch of scientists say it, so you should be able to name at least one of them.
Yeah, I got you. Well,
okay.
I mean,
so what's the name of one of the scientists who says that?
Well, I mean, you got a lot of atheist scientists that even say stuff like that.
Name one of them.
Man, I don't know the names of them.
Okay, so it sounds like you don't actually have any support for this argument.
Oh, I got a lot of support. If you want to go from if creation is not good enough for you.
Hold on, Stephen.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
You're saying the reason that I should believe in a God, or the justification to believe in God, is because when we look around, we can tell that that the universe was created, and your support for that is that scientists agree with you. So now what you need to do is either support your claim that scientists agree with you by providing the names of some scientists and where I can see them agreeing with you, where I can look up the scientific papers that agree with you, or you can agree that that argument actually was a bad one, you don't have support for it, and you want to move on to a different one.
Well, I guess I don't have the evidence of people. I guess you can get on Google and search it pretty quickly and probably come up with some people that would say that.
I've spent a lot of times researching this, and I promise you that that is not something that scientists say.
Okay.
So you've agreed that you don't have the evidence, so is there a different argument you'd like to discuss?
Yeah, I'd like to ask you, are you interested in finding out what truth is?
That's the main thing that I'm interested in, yeah.
All right. So you have an open mind and open heart to truth?
Absolutely, yeah. That's my top priority.
All right. Now, you don't have like a biased opinion against the Christian God, do you? Or a reason why you wouldn't want to believe?
Why I wouldn't want to believe? No, I want to believe whatever's true.
Okay, so is it like the storyline don't line up good for you, or is there something that, like, there's a darkness rather than light? Is there anything you want to hold on to that you wouldn't want to give up, don't want to be accountable to a God, or something like that going on more than the scientific stuff?
No, I just want to believe whatever's true, and as far as I can tell, it's true that no gods exist. If you're saying that there's a reason for me to change that position, I will change the position as soon as you give me the reason. What's the reason I should change my position?
Well, if I was walking down the street and found a watch right now, that's a simple argument. I would know there's a creator.
Yeah, because we have background information about watches and how they come into existence. We've seen watches come into existence, and we know that every time they come into existence, they're made by somebody, right? Do we have?
Yeah.
How many times have we seen universes come into existence?
Yeah, not many times. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, give me the number. Tell me the number of times. How many? Just tell me. Just giving the number. How many times has a human witnessed a universe coming into existence?
Like seeing it happen?
Yeah,
probably nobody saw it happen.
Yeah, so 0 humans have ever seen a universe come into existence, but lots and lots of humans have seen watches come into existence. That's why there's a difference between the kind of conclusion you can draw about a watch that you discover and how it was created versus being in the universe and trying to make some assumption about how it was created. Since we don't have the same kind of background information, we don't have justification for the same kind of inference. So since we don't have justification to just assume that the universe was created, what would be the justification for believing it was created?
Well, it had to come from somewhere, right?
Mm-mm.
To me, it's a bigger miracle. It'd be a bigger miracle just to think that this whole world just came about.
I don't really care. That's just a thought stopper. That's not. Yeah, all you're doing there is saying, well, I don't really want to actually have to think about it, so I'm going to give myself an excuse not to think about it.
I'm not trying to.
So let's.
No, I'm not saying that.
So let's actually think about it then, Stephen. So what I'm asking is, what's the actual reason to believe that the universe was created?
Well, anything that's looking in front of you was created. Everything we see was basically
Yeah, that's the
created,
claim.
wasn't it?
That's the claim.
Oh,
What's the
well,
evidence for that claim?
because it had to be created to be here and exist.
Again, that's the claim again. What's the evidence for the claim?
Well,
if I tell you, let's try it this way, Stephen.
All right.
Let's imagine I'm telling you there couldn't possibly be a God. And you say, oh, well, how did you confirm that there couldn't possibly be a God? And I say, well, you know, you look around, and when you look around, it looks like there wasn't a God. And you say, well, hold on now. That doesn't make any sense. I want an actual reason to believe there's no God. And I say, well, look at all the Brussels sprouts and carrots out there and peas, right? They all just, with natural processes, with nobody having to be involved. Like, look at grass, right? Like, it just grows without anybody having to be there to tinker. It just grows. So everything must just happen on its own without any guidance. So now that I've just, like, told you my claim again, basically, without actually giving any evidence, do you think that I've done a good job of supporting my claim that no gods exist?
Yeah, I get your point. I mean,
right, because that wouldn't be so if I gave you the argument I was just talking about, it wouldn't be compelling because it isn't a good argument. The problem is that's the argument that you're giving. So it's also not compelling when you give it because it's also a bad argument when you give it.
Okay, well, okay, what about this? What about the fact that somebody said this is the way it is, and that person that said it rose from the dead?
How did you determine that they rose from the dead?
Because all they had to do was produce a body, and there never would have been a Christianity ever existing.
No,
but
it's
they
all
couldn't
fiction.
Produce a body.
It's all fiction.
It's not all fiction. It's
Yes, it
history.
is. Okay, so
It's history.
so then produce Aristeus's body. I mean, there's a story about him resurrecting and flying around as a raven with the god Apollo. So that means that if you can't produce Aristeus's body, then Apollo must exist. The Christianity is false, and the Greek gods are the true gods.
Yeah,
So
well-
who produced Aristeus's body?
Are you talking about Greek mythology?
No, I'm talking about a real person who lived in history. His name was Aristeus. He went into a fuller's shop and he died. The fuller, knowing who he was, closed up shop, locked the doors, went and got Aristeus's family. And when they came back to the shop, Aristeus had resurrected and was gone. Other people saw him walking on the road after he resurrected. And then he came back later and told everybody that he had spent hundreds of years flying around as a magical raven with the god Apollo. So obviously, if nobody can find Aristeus's body, then the Greek gods are the real gods, right?
Well, there's always counterfeit. going
Does
on
it
with
mean
Satan.
if you, Stephen, is it the case that if you can't produce Aristeus's body, then Apollo is a real god?
Is that all Aristeus claimed to do? Is that all he did?
No,
I mean,
when he was alive, he could separate his soul from his body. He had all kinds of amazing powers when he was alive. And then
Might
when he
have been
died,
demonic.
he resurrected from the dead, and he went on to fly around as a magical raven with Apollo. So what I'm saying is, since you can't produce Aristeus's body, then all those claims must be true, right?
Okay, well, okay, I'll go ahead and answer you. No.
Okay,
that's
fantastic.
not-
So what you're saying then,
Aristeus-
is the inability to produce Jesus's body doesn't actually provide evidence for the claims in the Bible. In the
That's
same
one
way,
evidence. That's
I'm-
just one evidence.
right? No,
that
I'm
he
saying
was-
it's not evidence because it's not evidence
Okay,
for
well-
Apollo, so it's not evidence for Jesus either.
But we can take a lot of these non-evidence.
No, I need you to engage with exactly what I said, Stephen.
I mean, yeah, I said, okay, you want to win that argument, say it's not a good argument for you. So what I'm saying is take a lot of these non-evidences that you would cause. If I gave you a bunch of evidence, you were going to say it's not evidence and probably be a better arguer than me.
Stephen, what's 0 plus 0?
0.
Yeah, exactly. So if you provide some evidence that has zero impact on the likelihood of God existing, and then you provide another piece of evidence that has zero impact on the probability of God existing, and you do that 100 more times, well, 102 zeros add up to 0. So 102 examples of things that aren't actually evidence for God don't add up to be evidence for God. So what I'm asking you for is actual evidence for God.
Okay, so you want to talk numbers? Like the probability of all the prophecies and history that was written that Jesus Christ fulfilled is like he fulfilled many of them, but just some of them being fulfilled is like taking the whole state of Texas and putting like silver dollars like 2 feet deep, marking one with an X, putting
The
a blind
problem,
man
Stephen-
out there, go find this one. That's the probability of him doing all those.
No, so
all
the
this.
problem here, Stephen, is that you're trying to use this as evidence for a God, but this kind of evidence isn't predicted by the generic God hypothesis. So all this can do is say, Stephen, all you're doing, the quote unquote evidence that you're presenting right now can only make Christianity more likely than other gods if a God exists. It doesn't provide evidence that a God actually exists. It just says if a God exists, it's more likely to be this God. But that's not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in the first part, God actually existing.
But if you're interested in truth, you need to be interested in the true God, right?
Right. But in order for me to think that there's a true God, I need some reason to think that a God exists in the first place. Because if no gods exist, then there is no true God.
I got you. You ever seen a baby born?
No, not personally.
That's pretty interesting. I have.
That's just medical. It has nothing. That's a miracle. That's just a medical, like biological process. Again, I'm asking for evidence to believe in God. Do you have anything, or should I move on to the next person?
So nothing in the Bible really matters, then, right? To you?
Correct, because anything in the Bible is going to be expected under the Christian God hypothesis, not the just God simpliciter hypothesis.
But that would prove there's a real God, and that's what you want to know.
Nope, it wouldn't.
It really would.
No, I'm just what I explained, Stephen, is that all the stuff in the Bible would only say if there is a God, it's more likely to be the Christian God than any other God. But I'm not interested in that. I would need to believe in a God first in order for me to care which God of, I don't like. You're basically giving a conditional. You're saying
that's fine.
If P is true, then Q is true. And I'm saying, well, I don't have a reason to believe P is true, so we can't talk about Q, right? So we just need to talk about the first part.
Do you believe in death?
I mean, I believe that people die.
Yeah, because you see it happening, right? So people die.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you ever have that in your heart and wonder what's going to happen after death?
No.
You don't think about it ever?
No. Why would I?
Because it's going to happen to you and me.
Yeah.
And what do you do? What do you do with your guilt?
I don't have any guilt. I don't know what you're talking about.
So you don't have any guilt. You never felt guilt.
Well, okay. I mean, I felt guilt in my life, but I don't know what this has to do with believing in a God. It sounds like what you're saying is belief in God is comforting because of the afterlife beliefs that you think come with it. But I'm not interested in what's comforting. I'm interested in what's true.
Yeah, that's not what all I'm saying. I believe God puts those things in our hearts, like to want to.
Well, okay, but in order for me to believe that, I have to believe that a God exists. And you're right back to the same place we were before, where you're giving a reason to say if a God exists, it's probably this God, but you're not giving me a reason to believe that a God exists in the first place.
I'm trying to give you like real evidence in your own heart. It will show you.
You're not trying. You're not trying to give evidence, Stephen. Well, maybe you're trying, but you're failing because you're not.
Yeah, I know I'd fail. Yeah, I knew I'd fail with you anyway. I can tell you're not really open to it. That's fine.
You know what? Fair enough. Well, I appreciate you giving your best effort.
Okay. I appreciate it. It's nice meeting you, man.
Have a good one. Yeah. I agree with you, Brian. That seems much, much more likely. Okay. Well, first off, thank you everybody for the support. I have not really been paying a ton of attention, but thank you, Edisword, Bradley, Philo Dragon, Angry Neeson, Poopman Jones, Radio Spencer, Atheist Cat, both sides, Radio Spencer, Evan, Atheist Cat, 3 Pips. Thank you so much, everybody, for the support. All the likes, we're at 28,000 likes. And I appreciate all the likes and the shares, keeps us in the algorithm. Went looking in the freezer for a duck. I don't know why you were looking for a duck in the freezer. Typically they're in the pond, my guy. Appreciate it, Bradley. That's so funny. I guess I didn't notice you were doing that, but that's hilarious. He needed to cool off. Well, I don't know if the freezer's the right place for a hot duck. Oh, that quacking. Indeed, quacking away. All right, so if you are 18 plus, or excuse me, if you're in the guest queue, make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. So we'll bring up the next guest. Hi, Dro. How old are you?
36.
Cool. And do you believe in a God?
I believe in God. It depends on your definition of God.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think the
Not
minimal,
really.
minimal
Not
definition
really.
is... I'm sorry.
Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go
Well,
ahead.
I would say the minimal definition is probably just going to be like a personal ultimate foundation to reality.
Okay, there we go. I can go with that.
Okay.
Okay,
So do
well,
you believe in like a God associated with a religion or just like a generic God?
not well. If you want to say generic, we can go with generic. I want to say religion. I believe religion was created by man.
Sure. That's totally fair. What would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
Rational justification. I say it'd be nothing from nothing is nothing, right? You said it earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Some had to create whatever that creation was, that creator was. That's God.
Well, I was with you on the something can't come from nothing. I'm with you on that one, but you lost me with the creator. Why should I think things were created?
I'm sorry, some kind of way I got disconnected. I'm back close to my Wi-Fi now. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, no problem. I was with you with the something can't come from nothing. I'm with you 100% on that. No problems there. But then you started talking about things being created, and I don't know why we would believe that things were created.
Because nothing from nothing is nothing.
I don't see the connection. I'm sorry. You're gonna have to help me there.
Okay, the connection with nothing from nothing is nothing would be like let me say you can't make cornbread without eggs.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much like break it all the way down.
Yeah, it sounds like you're just
You can't
assuming. It sounds like you're just assuming that things were created, and then trying to like draw a conclusion from that assumption. But I'm not making that assumption, so I would need a reason to think that things were created. Why should I believe that the universe was created?
Why would you believe that? Because nothing from nothing is nothing. Something had to create something to make it something.
I don't know what the connection is between those things.
We believe nothing from nothing is nothing.
Yeah.
There go your answer right there.
I'm still not seeing it, Joe. You're gonna have to hold my hand. I must be stupid.
No. It's simple. Like I'm sure everybody can hit, but you can't have nothing without nothing. Something had to create something.
No,
or else we wouldn't
that's
be here.
assuming that there was a creation. I don't know why I should think there was a creation. Why
So
couldn't
you
I
saying
think
we're
that
not-
everything just always existed?
Because you said yourself, nothing from nothing is nothing.
Yeah, but if everything always existed, then there was never nothing, and then we don't have to worry about something from nothing.
No, if nothing ever existed, then it would be in existence. Whatever existed that created existence, that made existence.
Yeah, why should I think
made
that
it
there was
possible.
something that made existence, Joe? We're just going around in
That's right.
circles. Here's
Are you-
I'm gonna write it down, and hopefully this will help. Here, give me 1 second here. Let me put up my notepad here. What I'm saying is that something doesn't come from nothing.
Mhm.
There is something. There was never nothing. Right? So I'm going to say that if something doesn't come from nothing and there is something, then we should conclude that there was never nothing. So I don't know why we would have to worry about anything being created, because we can just conclude that there was never a situation where there was nothing and something always existed. So you're
Okay,
saying
well,
that,
that
like,
thinking-
I'm sorry?
With the way you're thinking, then nothing is God.
If you mean
Yeah.
that there is no God, then yeah, I agree that there is no God.
No, nothing is God. Whatever that nothing was is God.
No, I'm saying that there was never nothing.
There was never nothing.
Right.
That's like a paradox.
No, it's not a paradox.
Yes, it is.
No, I'm just saying that there was always something.
Well, there always something that was nothing is your God.
No, there was never nothing. So stop, please stop saying that I'm talking about nothing. I'm saying never nothing, always something.
I'm saying the same thing you saying, just saying it back to you in a different way.
No, you're not saying the same thing I'm saying, because you're suggesting that there was a state of existence where there was nothing. I'm saying that's not the case. Why should I
actually
think?
agreeing with you.
Okay, so why should I think that the universe was created?
Okay, that's your question. Not is God fiction. Your question is why would you think that the universe was created? Not is God is God real or not?
Yeah, we were talking about whether or not God is real. I asked you why I should think God is real, and you said because he created the universe. And so I'm asking, why should I think that the universe was created at all?
I never said the universe was created. I said, I actually agree with your first point was nothing from nothing. It's nothing, something. You had to have something to have nothing, to have anything.
Yeah, so something always existed. There was no creation. Why should I believe in a God?
Okay, a God, like I say, the beginning of my argument was, what's your definition of God? Your definition of God was like a creator, right? Who created?
A personal ultimate foundation to reality.
A personal alternative?
Ultimate.
Ultimate. Okay, then they go back to what you said. If it was always here, then that whatever that always was, that's the creator.
No, because Dro,
one first.
Dro, if the universe, okay, hold on. If the universe always existed, then it wasn't created, because creation means to bring something into existence. So if the universe always existed, it wasn't brought into existence. If it wasn't brought into existence, then it wasn't created. If it wasn't created, then there is no creator. Right?
Okay.
So I'm gonna put this out.
Let me ask you this. Okay, in order for a child to be created, there has to be
always existed, then it never came into existence. If the universe never, whoa, holy shit! Thanks everybody, whoever just supported, thank you. The universe never came into existence, then it was never created. If the universe was never created, then there is no creator of the universe. So our conclusion would be, if the universe always existed, well, actually, hold on. I want to put this. If there is no creator of the universe, then there is no God. So then our conclusion is going to be, if the universe always existed, then there is no God. So what you would need to demonstrate is that the universe didn't always exist.
No, it's for the sake of this argument, both of us will have to prove that.
Nope.
You had to prove one way and I had to prove the other.
No.
Yeah.
Nope. Because I can just say I don't know, and then there's still no reason to believe in God.
Oh, so okay, that's where you're going with it. Okay, well, if that's your definition of creation, like as far as that go, that I believe that will be God.
No, I'm saying there was no creation, so there is no God. In order for that to be possible that there was a creation, we would have to say that there was a state of existence where the universe didn't exist. So that would be demonstrating that the universe didn't always exist. How can you demonstrate that the universe did not always exist?
I would demonstrate the universe didn't always exist. I say it like this. I didn't always exist at one point in time, right?
Okay.
And that would mean that whoever created us, as far as biologically, like that day your mother and your father got together and they had that thought to fuck or do whatever they gonna do, that sperm, they came out and fertilized their egg. That came from nothing. Like that particular sperm wasn't always in there. That particular egg wasn't right there. They was created inside.
I don't know what this has to do with what we're talking about. I'm asking you to give me a demonstration that the universe didn't always exist.
I'm trying to give you an example, like in.
Yeah, but talking about biology, has nothing to do with the universe. We know that humans are different from the universe. So understanding how humans come into existence doesn't give us any reason to think that we know how the universe would have come into existence. So what you need to do, Dro, in order to provide justification to believe in a God, is you need to show that the universe, the first thing that we need to determine is that the universe didn't always exist, so that it's possible that there was a creation. Can you demonstrate that the universe did not always exist?
Yeah. No, what for that argument? No, can't nobody really do that. You can't really. If it's on that level, then nobody can. You can even say this is reality if it's like that.
Well, it sounds like then you don't have any argument or evidence for God. I appreciate you coming up, and I hope you have a good one. All right. where are we at? Okay. So if you I actually didn't love the movie Heretic. Like, it's not bad, but I don't know. Didn't really do it for me. I was trying to do my best there. I think Dro was a nice person. Right? Yeah, exactly, Lupine. At least Dro was being honest, and he was doing his best to engage. I don't think that we really got very far, but I also didn't get the same kind of, like, obfuscation from him that we always get from people, right? Nothing in space. Oh, yeah. No, I agree with you, Brian. Nothing isn't really like a coherent concept. Okay. We'll see if we can have a good conversation. So if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, please make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Hi, Casey. How old are you?
I am 51.
Oh, okay, cool. And do you believe in a God?
I've always questioned it. I'm not sure, but I'm pointing towards no. I am. I've been going down the rabbit hole. I am a flat earther. I am looking into a lot of truths. I know you probably don't like that.
Well,
but
I mean, it's just obviously false.
there's a
right?
lot of proof.
So which?
That,
I'm sorry. Which
anyway,
God do you believe in?
I don't.
Oh, you're saying you don't know if you believe in a God.
Yeah, I wasn't brought up in religion, and
Okay, well, all I'm really interested
so I've always
in.
questioned it. I've always questioned it.
Casey, all I'm really interested in is debating, God, whether God exists. If we don't disagree on that, then there isn't a debate to have. I'm not a flat Earth debater.
No, I wanted to talk about how I just heard, I don't know if it was a TikTok thing or the government is about to come out and tell us that aliens actually.
Okay, that has nothing to do with
created
the
us.
purpose of this stream, Casey.
Well,
yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and move on. All right. Yeah, not gonna get anywhere there. All right. So if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, please make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God.
oh, right.
Hi, Cole. How old are you?
22.
Okay. Do you believe in a God?
Yes.
Okay. Did I wake you up from a nap?
No. Long day at work.
Okay. What God do you believe in?
Jesus Christ.
Okay. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
I would say the resurrection.
Okay. And what's the evidence for the resurrection?
There's a few. Well, first, if we take the accounts that showed that the tomb was empty.
What accounts that the tomb was empty?
From the Gospels.
Why should we believe the Gospel accounts?
Because they're reliable.
Well, I mean, that's just saying that we should believe them. Do you think that we should believe them because we should believe them?
No, I think
Okay, so what's the reason we should believe that the Gospels are reliable about, the empty tomb?
Because there was eyewitness testimony.
Oh, okay. Where's the eyewitness testimony?
It's recorded in the Gospels and also...
Okay, what's the evidence that there's eyewitness testimony in the Gospels?
I could pull it up for you.
Well, I can save you some time. There isn't any. The Gospels were written anonymously. We have no idea who wrote them, and we have no reason whatsoever to believe that there's any eyewitness testimony in there. So, I mean, if you want to save some time. I mean, if you want to pretend that there is evidence out there, I mean, I can sit here and pretend that I'm waiting for you to find some. But if you know anything about this, which I would hope that you would before coming up here to have this debate, you would know that there is no such evidence.
Just because their names weren't labeled on their text doesn't mean that they don't have people under them that could confirm that they actually wrote.
Okay, fantastic. So what's the evidence that there's eyewitness testimony in the Gospels?
I would say the evidence that there's eyewitness testimony in the Gospels. Give me a minute. 1 second.
I mean, you can just admit that you don't have any, and we could move on.
I do. I have a PDF to help me out. Let's see. So,
where's this PDF from?
The PDF?
Yeah, where's it from? Where'd you get it?
Let's see.
Where did you get it? Okay, I mean, I guess you could also just leave the app.
TheDiscipleMakingParent.com.
TheDiscipleMakingParent.com?
Yes. And they give
the Disciple Making Parent biblical advice for parents. So, reminding them of their responsibility to evangelize to their children. So this is just telling you how you should emotionally and psychologically abuse your child. So you went to a website that tells you how to abuse your child, and you think that some PDF you got from that website is going to give you evidence for God?
This is a specific document off that website, and it's
okay. So what's the evidence that that there's eyewitness testimony in the Gospels?
Okay, hold on. Just give me 1 second, because I was trying to find
that. I'm losing patience very quickly, Cole, and I'm also losing all confidence that you're not a troll.
No, I mean, you said to bring evidence, so I'm just...
Yeah, and you didn't bring any evidence.
Just because I can't immediately...
Just because you don't have any evidence, I think you don't have any evidence.
Okay, that's fine. I just asked for a tiny bit more patience, that's all.
Yeah, you're not giving me any reason to give you any patience. You're giving me lots of reasons not to give you any patience.
Okay. Well,
I've been waiting for quite a while.
I'll just say at first I'm gonna use the Bible as my evidence.
Nope, the Bible is not evidence. That's the claim. So what's the evidence that there's eyewitness testimony in the Gospels? The extra biblical evidence that there's eyewitness testimony in the Gospels.
Well, I mean, I can get that, but that would take more patience on your end. I don't have that.
Okay. Yep. So why don't you come back sometime when you actually have the evidence for your arguments, okay?
I mean, I was using the...
All right. Okay. What the fuck? Why are people so dumb in the comments? Whatever. Yeah, so if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, please make sure that you are 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Hi, Justin. How old are you?
I'm 18.
Okay. And do you believe in a God?
Yes, I do.
Cool. Which one?
Well, I'm an Eastern Orthodox Christian, so I believe in the Christian God.
Okay. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God that isn't tag?
Okay, first I would like to, I guess, clarify. Are you a full atheist?
Oh, I don't know what you mean.
Like, are you an atheist? I mean, that's a simple question.
Yeah, you said full atheist. I don't know what that means.
Like, are you a full atheist? Are you agnostic atheist? What are you?
Okay, so just repeating the phrase isn't going to tell me what it means.
No. I'm saying so. Like, a full atheist means that you have no likable even ability to believe in any sense of a God. Like, an agnostic atheist basically means that you don't believe there is a God, but you'd be open to finding that conclusion.
I mean, that's not at all what an agnostic atheist is.
By the definition I've got from all agnostic atheists, they believe with me in the same and agree with me. So I mean, I think you'd be wrong.
What?
I debate agnostic atheists all the time. They agree with that upon that definition. But
No,
okay,
an
what would be
agnostic
your
atheist.
definition?
Yeah, so an agnostic atheist, if you want to use the terms in that way, then an agnostic atheist would just be somebody who doesn't believe in a god, but doesn't claim a knowledge position about there being no god. But when you say full atheist, I don't have any, I don't know what that means, because it seems like you're trying to contrast that with an agnostic atheist. But typically, when somebody wants to say something like a strong or a weak atheist, which I assume is maybe what you're trying to gesture at, they would be talking about, the difference between a Gnostic atheist who claims a knowledge position that there is no God versus an agnostic atheist who doesn't claim a knowledge position that there is no God. But neither of those positions have anything to do with a degree of openness to new evidence and new information. So I think that what you're doing here is you're trying to poison the well, and I'm not going to let you do it.
Dude, that's not what I'm going here. But
I mean, that is what you just did.
That's not. But typically, I'll ask. It's just a clarification, because I know you typically talk about and use the same argument for just about every single person, which is low-key low tier. But I mean, I want to know your justification on why creation wouldn't need, or why the universe would be eternal with excluding the Big Bang. What would be your justification for that?
Well, if time came into existence, then change came into existence. If change came into existence, then that means the state of existence without change changed into a state of existence with change. It's not possible for a state of existence without change to change. Therefore, time never came into existence. If time exists, then the universe exists. So that means that the universe never came into existence.
So you believe the universe is eternal?
It depends on your definition of the word eternal, and all I'm saying is the universe never came into existence.
Really not. Eternal has one definition, man. You can't be twisting the definition of eternal.
People use different definitions for that word in these conversations all the time, and I don't know why you have a problem with me trying to clarify a definition.
Well, no, because I mean the definition of eternal is not like my definition of your eternal is not going to be different. By definition, it's not going to be wrong. So, anyways, but on that note, if you don't know that, so the stance you're making and the claims you're making is pointing to an eternal universe, but then you're saying you don't know, so your justification is weak, so you lack that information, so then you challenge the God being fiction. So your justification is very low. So I don't understand how you can justify something that you don't have justification for, than just to challenge beliefs of a God of intended design. So
Do you have anything to actually say, or just rattling off?
I do.
Nonsense?
I mean, it's not nonsense. You're just kind of low tier. I don't think you understand what you're talking
I'm just
about.
so low tier that you can't even give an argument.
Well, explain the justification then. But you can't. You literally just said you
I
don't
just
know,
gave
and
it.
you explained you didn't. That's not the premise one.
Okay,
Like, that's a terrible.
fantastic. So then refute the argument. Then just engage with the argument that I gave. Engage with the argument.
Unless you're trying to make a premise 1, premise 2, premise 3 conclusion.
I just gave it to you. I just gave it to you. Engage with the argument.
Well, that doesn't have. I just already said that doesn't have justification. You're
just claiming that there's no justification. Which premise do you reject?
Provide. No, it's not denying the premise. That's not.
Which premise do you reject?
Justification is not denying the premise. So
which premise do you reject?
So if you could justify your worldview,
so you're not actually going to engage, is what you're saying?
You just said you don't know, but you intend.
So you're not going to engage.
Universe.
So you're not going to engage.
I will
okay,
engage,
here's
but
the thing,
answer
Justin.
my question first.
Here's the thing, Justin. You got two options right now. The two options are, number one, you engage with the argument that I gave directly and respond to it, or anything else that you say, I'm just going to take as a concession because you know you can't engage with the argument.
I can engage with the argument, right?
Okay, then do it.
But I asked you a question first.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you for the concession. Well, if I just run away hard enough, then I call him low tier often enough. Here's the thing. Of course I'm low tier. Of course I'm low tier. I am low tier as they come. Like there is no question about that. Anyone here, whether you're a supporter of me or you don't like me or you're neutral about me, I want you to know, I want everyone here to understand I am low tier. Okay? I am low tier. There is no question about that. We all agree on that, hopefully. I do not have an education. I am not claiming to have an education. I'm not claiming to have any knowledge above and beyond just like normal everyday person knowledge. I am low tier. I'm not pretending to be some high tier debater. So I don't know what this whole like trying to like insult me by calling me low tier. It means nothing. Of course I'm low tier. That's like trying to insult me by calling me fat. Like, obviously I'm fat. Like, you think I don't know that I'm fat and I'm low tier? Like, what the fuck? Hey, thanks, Hercules. You rule. Yeah, well, I just want everybody, Justin, I want you to know that I know too, and you're not saying anything that anyone didn't know. Well, I don't know if I go that far, Matthew. I'm a pretty good master debater. All right, so if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, please make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Rocco, I was literally about to add you right when I got done saying that, and then you had to go beg in the comments, and I do not bring people up when they're begging in the comments, because people who beg in the comments are assholes. Ooh, cunning linguist indeed. All right. I don't think that's for me to decide if I'm a cunning linguist. Scared, yes. I'm so afraid of people who are desperate in the comments. That's just terrifying to me. Hi, Bob. How old are you?
Hey, I'm 34.
Cool. Do you believe in a God?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. And which one?
The Christian God.
Fair enough. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
Yeah, I would just say that it would seem to me on the moral side of things that we have to deny our own moral experiences to deny God.
Why is that? I don't see the connection.
Well, it just seems on an atheistic perspective, there's no grounding for objective morals.
Oh, that's not true at
so
all.
everything's morally. Oh, it's not true?
No, not at all.
Okay. Where do you get your objective morality from?
I mean, you just said under atheism there's no grounding, but there are tons and tons of atheists who have many, many different moral views that are that involve objective morality. So I mean, it doesn't like.
That's interesting.
Yeah, there's lots of them. There are lots of typically you're going to see them involved in like there's an entire meta-ethical category called natural realism or ethical naturalism, I think is a better way to put it. And the whole point of ethical naturalism is just that morals are grounded in the natural properties of human beings. So like if ethical naturalism is true, then that would mean that there are objective moral truths and they come from just the kind of creature that we are. Now, I'm not asking you to agree that ethical naturalism is true. I'm just pointing it out to say that that's one example among many of ways to ground objective morality without having to appeal to a God. Now, you could also agree with ethical naturalism and believe in a God. You would just be believing that morals don't come from God, which there are people who believe that.
Yeah, but I guess in this ethical naturalism, if we're all the byproducts of this unguided process that we call evolution that never had us in mind, why would we trust that any sort of naturalistic path is geared at truth or moral truth?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm not saying that you should agree with ethical naturalism. I'm just saying that you're wrong about atheists being able to ground morals in...
Well, how could it be objective then?
Right, because the truth maker is something that is objective. It's the actual, state of natural affairs. So saying that because the fact of the matter about what is true in nature is that those are objective facts. So if we say that morals are grounded in objective natural facts, then obviously the truth maker for morals are objective, which means that they're objective morals. All it means for morals to be objective is that their truth value isn't dependent on a stance or opinion of a subject, of an agent. So if we're saying that they're grounded in natural facts, then we're saying that they're grounded in something objective, which makes their truth value objective.
But I mean, wouldn't you be committing the naturalistic fallacy there by saying that, like, because it happens in nature, therefore it's good?
No.
No, why not?
No, because we're saying good, like good is an evaluative thing. So we're saying that like look, I'm not trying to defend ethical naturalism. My point isn't that you should agree with ethical naturalism or that I have the greatest defense of ethical naturalism ever. My point here was simply to say that it is possible to ground morals without reference to God. That was your original claim, is that it's not possible to ground morals without reference to God. Yeah, I'm saying it's possible to ground objective morals without God. You said it wasn't possible. I'm not trying to defend a specific view. Right. Okay. So if your claim is that it can't be objective morals because there are people that disagree with it, then obviously your moral system isn't objective morals either, because there are people who disagree with it. So if the standard for a moral system being objective is that there's no one who disagrees with it, then I would say that obviously by that standard there's no such thing as objective morals.
Well, I think you have a fundamental misunderstanding of what objective morality would be.
No, I don't. You do. I'm saying that, Bob, can you steel man back to me what I just said?
Yeah, you basically said that if people don't agree on something,
No.
objective morality.
No, that you misheard me.
Then restate it. Can you restate it succinctly?
I said your claim is that ethical naturalism can't be objective morals because people disagree with it. So your claim is that if someone...
That's not what I said.
It is what you said.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
Can you steel man back to why I said that that ethical naturalism can't be objective? Can you steel man back what I said?
You just said that it can't be objective. That's it. And then when I asked you about it, you said it's because not everybody agrees with it.
The argument I made is that if this is basically grounded in nature, I think that you'd be making the naturalistic fallacy by saying because it happens in nature, therefore good. And additionally, if we're the random result of an unguided process of evolution, if we get our morals through nature, why would we believe that they're geared at truth and not survival? So therefore, how could they be objective? That was my argument.
Yeah, that's just a misunderstanding of what objective means, Bob.
Okay, so
tell me what it means for something to be objective.
In my worldview, it would just be that there's a law out there.
Okay, so you just don't understand what the word objective means. So that's the problem, is you don't understand what the word objective means.
There's a law there that's
unchanging. No, you're just saying
that says this thing good, this thing bad. That's objective.
No, that's not what objective
what's objective in your worldview?
No, not in my worldview. Just the actual definition of the word. What you've just described there, Bob, is deontology. That's not objective.
No, it's an unchanging standard.
No,
that's objective.
No, that is not what objective means. That's not what objective means at all. Like if you just like,
Google
I don't know why you would come up here talking about objective and subjective when you don't even know what the words mean. What does the word subjective mean, Bob?
It means it's relative to the individual. It stands dependent.
Yes. Well, at least you know what subjective means. It stands dependent. Here's the thing. Objective is simply the opposite. So
Just
all
Google
objective means is stance independent. That's all objective means.
And if it's a law that I can point to, right? It's independent of our stances. That would be objective.
No, because there could be a law like that is dependent on a stance. So just a law like that existing doesn't make it objective. You would have to say the truth maker for that law is objective. The problem is
if God gives a moral law,
that's subjective.
Right? That's subjective. You would argue that it's subjective to God because it stands dependent.
100%. That's the definition of subjective.
Google right now. Google objective morality philosophical definition and read it to me.
I've already told you what the definition of objective
Google it right
is.
now.
Objective means stance independent. So if objective means stance independent, then in order for morality to be objective, the truth of a moral claim would have to be independent of any stance. Do you understand?
Do you want to look up what objective morality philosophical definition? You can prove me wrong right now in front of everybody.
I don't need to. There's no need. Anybody who knows anything about this argument knows what objective and subjective means.
Because you're wrong about that.
I mean, you can say that all you want, Bob, but I'm asking you to actually engage with the argument. Since objective means stance... So you need to stop. I'm so sorry that the middle of my sentence interrupted the beginning of yours, but hopefully, since you're an adult, you can calm down a little bit. Since objective means the truth value is stance independent, any moral system that relies on a stance of an agent must be subjective. Subjective means stance dependent. If moral laws come from God, those moral laws are subjective. If the truth of moral claims is grounded in something that is independent of any agent's stance, that would be objective. Now, it is possible that. Oh, he must have just looked it up. He ran away because he just looked it up. That is so fucking funny. Oh, begging me to Google a term that I already know the definition to. And I guarantee that the reason that he was just away, he teacupped and then ran, is because he Googled it while I was talking, realized he was wrong and had to bail. That is so fucking funny to me. Oh, good times, good times, good times. All right. Well, thanks, Bear. Yeah, I mean, obviously the word objective means stance independent, right? And I do agree. I have become convinced of ethical naturalism. I muted him and he didn't want me controlling him speaking. Oh, yeah, because he couldn't have a conversation. I do agree with ethical naturalism. However, it's a position that I'm new to, so it's not something that I'm like I think that I can like debate or support, right? I don't have a really good argument. I mean, I have an argument for ethical naturalism. It's just not something that I would be prepared to debate. But the whole point of bringing up ethical naturalism was simply to show that there are ways to ground morals that are stance independent, which mean without God, right? So if there are secular ways of grounding stance independent morals, then that means that there are ways for atheists to ground objective morals, and ethical naturalism would be one of those ways. But it is after 11 p.m. And it's a night that I typically don't stream. So, thanks, Nobody on Fire. Yeah, this fucking Mega Man. I love Mega Man. My favorite video games are like the Mega Man X games, especially like the first couple. I love Mega Man X and Mega Man X2, and then the fucking Tony Hawk, because I'm old as shit. It's so funny that somebody came up here before using video game stuff and I didn't catch it because I don't know shit about video games. Okay. So if yeah, it's after 11 p.m. I'm going to go ahead and call the stream. Yeah, dude, Mega Man X is the shit, bro, guy. I was born in the 80s. That is accurate. Yes. But yeah, so I've been going for 3 hours. I typically don't do more than 2. A Q&A? I don't know. Somebody a long time ago asked me to do a Q&A, but I have no idea why I would do a Q&A. I don't have yeah, I almost accidentally brought up another guest. I don't know why I would do a Q&A. As I was being very clear about earlier, I am low tier. I have no education. I have no authority, right? I just am having conversations with people, having debates. But I mean, that may be true, the Naz, but I definitely don't have any qualifications that would give me justification to call myself anything other than low tier. I think that the only rational, only justified position for me to take about myself is that I'm low tier. If other people want to say differently, I guess they can. I just would have no justification to agree with them. But like I said, been going for 3 hours. I typically don't do more than 2. And also, like, I typically don't stream on Fridays, so I am going to call it for the evening. Well, I appreciate that, Hunter, but yeah, anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and bail. I'm just so terrified of all of the Christians. They've got me so scared. I'm shaking in my boots, so I have to run away. Hopefully that helps them sleep at night. But as I always say at the end of my lives, remember that tomorrow is not guaranteed. You never know what can happen. So we don't want to miss any opportunities to let our family and friends know how important they are to us. Make sure that you tell them, all your family and your friends, the people that you love, what they mean to you. Don't miss